Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mischief, Mayhem, and Movie, episode 26. We told you it was going to be a special one. There's a lot of special people. And yeah, here we are. Big panel. Biggest panel we've had on the show so far.
It's a big panel you got there.
It's a bit. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you know what, Cynic? I have actually, before we get started, I have a question for you. You're on BSUP earlier today, talking about something about Transformers. Here, could you tell me what this was about?
I don't know why they do this, and I saw a montage that I wish I had put into my video, but I saw it too late. And it's him constantly saying like, "I'm going to come," or "Let them come." And it's like, why does he say this so much?
Someone's gonna have to clip that now because that could be so useful as a soundbite.
I'm coming. We're coming.
I mean,
hey, don't ask me. I didn't write these shitty movies.
For the people that don't know, maybe didn't watch, can you just put some context behind that? Because
So Transformers 7 was dog shit. It was really, really, really bad movie. And I saw a clip compilation, and the title was it made a lot of sense. So the title said like, "Stop making Optimus say this," and it was just a montage of him throughout the series going, "I'm going to come," and I don't know why they're doing that, man.
I liked it better without the explanation.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I'm coming for you.
Oh God, Cynic! I'm sorry, man. I had to do it. Platoon said somebody clip it out. So.
Somebody clip.
I will be using that on the very, very rare occasion that I get to review something that has something good in it. I will be cutting away just to you saying, "I'm coming."
I'm coming.
I'm coming.
Let them come.
Oh God. On that note, okay, so we got some special guests in here. Obviously, today we have Cynic back. Thank you, sir, for coming in. Little Platoon, appreciate you, buddy. You know, I don't know, you don't sleep, so I figured, perfect stream to have you on, buddy.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Of course, buddy, anytime. And then actually, Andrew, of course, first time on the show. Appreciate you coming on, buddy. I know you have your notes ready to go.
I'm ready. I can't wait to figure out what these mean.
Both, buddy. And of course,
it's over your head, bro.
And then, of course, Mr. MC Hammer Ego over here dressed in his chains, a Snyder fan. So we got him, and we had to give B.A. Turner some help. Thank you, Turner, for coming back on for this, because this might be worse than the Man of Steel stream as far as the flat backlash. But hey, and then of course my co-host, Copa Catania, Vex Electronica, and White Bear. Lovely to be back with you as always, of course. All right. Well, I know this is going to be a good one, and it's a long one. So we are just going to kind of get started here. I
think I did say to Cynic before we came on that I hoped you'd found somebody else who was willing to defend Zack Snyder, because some people do like being the subject of a gangbang, but not everybody does. And it's only fair, I think, that we have a bit more.
The one guy who's down to be the cracker inside the gangbang is the black guy dressed like MC Hammer. So let's get on with it.
Don't get all racist like Whedon. Come on, guys. Don't make him re-picture.
Don't have fun.
So this is I don't know why we decided to do the Ultimate Edition. I think we agreed because it had extra scenes that added some supposed more context to the movie.
Way more.
I am just going to say off the bat, because then I'm going to let everybody get their chance to talk. I watched this movie again, rewatched it for the first time in a long time with my daughter wanted to watch it. She's a 15-year-old teenager. We've been watching all the older Superman movies and superhero movies, Batman, DC. She even at one point, 35 minutes goes, "I can't do this anymore," and walked away. So now she is 15 years old. Say what you want. She sat through Man of Steel reluctantly, but she sat through it. She could not do this. And then she came back towards the end when the whole Doomsday thing happened, and then walked out again. So we're just gonna just scrub through. We'll get through this quickly. We'll obviously do some commentary over it, and man, let's get going, man. So. Obviously, we get at the beginning of the movie a beautiful poem by Sir Ben Affleck talking about his parents. I am just going to say I did not like the way this movie opened. I do not need to know about Martha and Wayne and Bruce and what the hell's his name? Who's the father? Thomas Wayne. I don't need to see this
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
over and yeah. I didn't need to see this over and over again. We already know how Batman's parents died. We get it. I know what they were trying to do. And of course, this is going to come up later in the bigger picture of the movie. I guess I just didn't understand it at the time. I don't know, but
well, they were trying to establish like 4 people here, so everybody had some type of beginning. That's the only reason.
I get it, and I think it has, obviously with the whole Martha, the Martha thing at the end. I get it. Who wants to start off?
Who?
Martha.
Who? Why'd you say that name?
Why did you say that name?
Thank you.
Worse rewatching the movie. Like, I remember it being bad, and it's even worse 6 years later, 7 years later.
The extended cut? How dare you?
We'll give everybody
Listen,
extended cut.
Ego. I genuinely, it took me a whole day. I had nothing else to do. Like, genuinely, nothing else to do. It took me a whole day to get through the theatrical cut of this movie. I went and cooked dinner. I deep cleaned the guest bathroom. I fucking organized my husband's clothes. And I still, like, anything to not watch this movie. So it's going to take me a week to watch the extended one if I even want to.
It's an extra half an hour that gives context to the entire movie.
No. If it gives that much context, then it should have been the theatrical release, not the extended cut. Don't defend that, please. You're gonna need that. Like, everyone pretty much went to go see Watchmen and knew it was 3 hours. We knew what you're signing up for in a Zack Snyder movie. All your asses was happy with 300, yelling, "This is Sparta, bitch!" Like, you can't do an extra 30 minutes. 300 was fast as well. I would like to point out the only good thing Zack Snyder has ever done is put Henry Cavill in a Superman suit. That's it.
No, he did Dawn of the Dead. That was pretty good.
Dawn of the Dead.
Is that actually him?
Was that his first movie?
Yes.
Yeah, that was his only good movie.
All right, then that is his 2 good things he did then.
And then people
like you like Marvel movies.
I'll give him Watchmen. I will give him Watchmen as an alright film.
Okay.
No, I'm saying,
Watchmen was okay. It was better extended. That was the only time that Zack Snyder was good, was in the extended version, is the Watchmen.
Right. Well, we got Excalibur in the background.
People defending this movie are in the same boat as people defending Transformers 7. It's really
Wait, I saw your comment section. That was
Transformers.
The comment section is full of autism and cope.
Yeah, I do respect Zack Snyder's gun choice. He chose a 1911. If I were to get shot,
1911. That man had class. Okay.
Listen, if I got shot by anything, I wish I would get shot.
Sorry, no. Can you just go back just very quickly?
Of course.
Because the caps there kind of sum up a lot of feelings.
You guys suck.
So
I'm glad I put those on now.
I understand why you would want to. I think it's probably for the best that they did skip over this part. You don't really want to be replaying another Bruce Wayne origin story. I understand that. Mm-hmm. The problem is the way this is all shot, and particularly the way the villain is shot or the shooter is shot in this particular instance, doesn't portray that sort of wild desperation that you get even from the Nolan film. So you don't get the sense that this guy is just a chancer and he's indicative of general social decay in Gotham. He's there because he looks kind of cool. He has a very expensive gun. The whole Pearl shot that they have, which is just ludicrously choreographed, takes away from the raw energy that almost every other depiction of this scene has had. If you're going to do this, do it properly. If you're not going to do it, skip this entirely and pick up with Bruce Wayne later on, which is what I think
the way it's choreographed makes it seem like it's like he did it on purpose too, because she has time to react and everything, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I might as well pull the trigger while I'm here." So it's really
it almost feels like guns pressed up against her face. The gun's pressed up against her face in the actual extended cut. Then it pulls back to the pearls. Then he unloads.
Well, I mean,
it's actually more of a visceral shot. Plus, this whole thing is a nightmare sequence. It's an extra. The whole thing is a nightmare sequence anyway.
Pulling you up on this, the caps at the moment are currently Snyder fans. But putting you up on this, which film are we actually critiquing? Are we critiquing the theatrical cut, the one which was actually put out to people as the version of the story, or are we putting out the one that came out later, which recognized fundamental storytelling flaws in the original version of the story, thought to fix them and didn't manage to fix the most important ones? Which one are we doing?
This is the
one. The one sans shit talking at the end. The second one.
Yeah, no, you got it too.
The second one
that came out later.
It's actually Snyder's real film. The shit
they added like an extra half hour of content
with the studio trying to sabotage Snyder. So
they love not making money. They totally purposefully wanted to put a shitty film in the theater.
Yeah, they did.
No, they're trying to cut it out. They wanted to be 2.5 hours. They were trying to compete with Marvel. Guys, this movie in general was not supposed to be made. It was supposed to be Man of Steel 2, not Batman v Superman, add Wonder Woman, and then give me the Killer Superman. That was never supposed to be.
Whoa. I do understand, and I do accept that the studio's version of events will not necessarily be the one the director envisions. I don't have a problem with blaming the studio for the theatrical version we got. I don't think that's a problem. My problem is that the extended version doesn't actually fix any of the problems with the story. That's the problem. I will argue with that when we get to those points. I can understand that. If you're saying it didn't change anything fundamental to the story, we can hash that one out. That's fine.
Yeah, we got to make sure you understand the story first, right, guys? So
I just want to bring up last time when we did Man of Steel, I made the argument that the studio forced him to make Batman to include Batman because there was no way Man of Steel was happening because of the poor reaction. The man right below me argued that's not true.
No, I actually said the opposite. I said that you have to consider
but we would have agreed, and we didn't agree on anything.
Wanted to bring Batman in right away to catch up to Marvel. That does not mean that was Snyder's vision. Snyder wanted to do a Man of Steel 2. The problem is the studio wanted to go a different direction. There's nothing he could do to change that. This is proof of that. He wanted the Ultimate Edition released. They didn't. Studio won.
I'll have to go back and rewatch because that meant we would have agreed on something, which would have been weird.
Yeah, can we all just agree that Zack Snyder is by far not only the greatest threat to cinema, but to humanity in general?
No,
I'm there with you, bro.
That'd be Quentin Tarantino to me, but I digress.
Okay. No, actually, James Gunn. You'll see in the next 5 years while he fails on
that's probably true. He's probably gonna make a terrible fucking DC universe.
I'm not really. Yeah,
he's probably not saving shit.
Yeah, Zack Snyder does not have a monopoly on terrible
the
films.
Perfect reference material for his future plans for DC.
Oh God. Well, moving on from the intro. So this is where we get the introduction of Bruce Wayne seeing what was happening in the Man of Steel with the big fight in Metropolis, and when we get Mr. Batfleck for the first time. So I remember when this was announced, this casting was announced. What a shit show that the media just went crazy with. The fan base did not like the initial casting. Of course, it was that let's wait and see kind of thing. And I heard a lot of, look at Heath Ledger and the Joker in The Dark Knight. Nobody wanted that. I was like, yeah, but Heath Ledger's actually a good actor. Personally,
to be fair, Heath Ledger had shown some range before he was cast as the Joker. Yeah. So
and gay cowboys. You can't quit people, in the wherever. I can't stand Ben Affleck as an actor. I've said this. My panel knows this. My hosts know this. I do not like him. Now, not to say that he does direct some decent movies. He's been in movies I like too, which is fucking weird.
He directed two good movies.
The Town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Gone Girl.
Yeah.
Have you seen the?
Or not Gone Girl, but
Argo. At least
I didn't like Argo.
Argo was a little too. Well, they changed a lot of the history in Argo. Well, they did, but he changed.
Hollywood comes to save the day.
Yeah, very pro Hollywood movie. Yeah. It wasn't one of my favorites.
But now, what exactly did y'all hate about Ben Affleck as Batman? What?
He's a fucking idiot, dude. He's a brainlet.
I can't buy him
he always acts like Ben Affleck.
That's it. All I see is Ben Affleck. That's it.
Yeah, he does.
To be fair, he actually looked good though. Like I can understand why ladies, threw the panties in like 2002.
Does he fit that?
I didn't feel like he looked good as Batman. I felt like he looked like fucking Ben Affleck with a Batman suit on.
Exactly.
Yeah, what about him? Really, I couldn't get lost in the story whatsoever with him as Batman.
And it was
so hold on. So
too.
If all y'all see is Ben Affleck in a bat suit, like who y'all thinking would be a better choice for Batman
Matt Damon, obviously.
I will uppercut the hell out of you, Cobra. I swear to God.
Matt Damon.
Goodwill, Martha.
If you look at
literally
the
anyone would have been a better pick than Ben Affleck.
Like his facial expressions, everything is literally on par with a lot of the comic panels and the cartoons. Like he played it perfectly.
Like the smile, the little smirk that he does.
Yep.
Yeah, that's even cartoon. Like that's back to like Bruce Timm, Batman the Animated Series. The same smile he does is the same one that he used. Like the guy actually knows what he's doing on this.
Just about the events taking place on screen, just very quickly, because
please.
I have not rewatched Man of Steel for a very long time. I seem to recall the evil big alien spaceship thing was doing something with gravity. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah,
Man
it's sucking things up and then
selective
back down like a big board.
Yeah, it was like
very
what was
selective.
plot needed in the moment.
It's gravity that doesn't affect Laurence Fishburne, for example. That's one of the
it also doesn't
my question was, where is the gravity effect in this opening? Because I didn't spot anyone sort of flying up and down.
I guess
it does show it terraforming. They do show it actually terraforming where they were. It just was out of the range.
Yeah,
but why is no one flying up and down? I thought that was
it's not yet.
A limited area.
Yeah, he gets hit with the pulse here in the beginning somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh no, the pulse I'm fine with. I saw the pulse. I'm just not seeing gravity. That was my issue with that.
Because it was actually being put to the Phantom Zone at that point.
To be honest with you, this is actually the only thing that makes sense in this movie is that Batman is watching Superman tear up the city, and he's considering him a threat. Right. Highest
no, that's fine. And to be fair, if I'm having anything at all to praise about the film, I think this juxtaposition of having the ground view of the superhero fight from the first film, I think is done pretty well. That juxtaposition works. My problem is that I don't think it actually accords with the events that we were shown on film in the first film. So the perspective shift works well, but the actual events don't. And then it's culminated with the slight silliness of the fact that no one in Wayne Tower thinks that it might be worth running away until
they have to wait until Bruce calls.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
They gotta.
I'll give you that. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, the guy's the guy he's talking to is in there watching everything happen. He's like, and then he needs Bruce.
We gotta wait for the
get everybody out of the building.
Yeah, Bruce is such a slave driver that they won't even leave until he calls and says, "All right, guys, punch out. You're in jail."
My boss. I can't leave unless he tells me to.
That's fair.
Oh, never mind. That building. That building just got 9/11 in front of me, but no big deal.
This is 9/11 times 10,000.
Yeah, it's like. And then the guy actually waits, and then he tries calling him again, and then the guy's still in the building with nobody there, and I'm like,
he gave up.
And he's just praying. It's just like, bro, come on.
If everybody else had a chance to leave the building, why is he still in the building 10 minutes later, though?
Captain goes down with the ship.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the captain now. Look at me.
Yeah.
I am the captain.
He's just trying to get that overtime, dude.
Yeah.
I need that extra minute for that bonus.
He needs that extra guap.
That top time, baby.
Oh, never mind.
This is why I think a lot of people don't get and don't enjoy these films, because they just want jokes. I think you guys are kind of proving that point right now.
You mean no. I go to the movies to enjoy a movie. And if you're going to make a mockery out of if you're going to make a mockery out of me attending your film, then I'm going to make a mockery of your film.
Yeah, we're joking about the film. We're not asking that the film jokes at us.
I don't
want to just to unpack the response. What joke are we asking for when we say that maybe people should evacuate on their own steam rather than waiting for a convenient phone call? Where's the joke?
Right, because that is fucking stupid. That's not us asking for a quip.
That's
us asking for, if it's going to take itself seriously, maybe it should take itself seriously.
So you do have to keep in mind, of course, 9/11, right? So in regards
never
to
forget.
Okay.
Oh God, stream canceled. Stream canceled.
Think about it.
You mean the day we got 9/11?
No, they're like 30, 50 stories up. Every elevator is going to be jam-packed, and you think they're going to get down the 50 flights of stairs.
Then why did he? If a building is being destroyed around you, do you think you're pausing in your office to think, I wonder if the elevator is vacant at this precise moment?
That's
the reason it's full. Is everyone's running to the lift?
Even people on 9/11 tried to get in the elevator.
BA, literally. People were trying to escape 9/11 by jumping out of a fucking window.
Right, but not all of them did, right? Because some people may have paused in shock. They're hesitating, trying to figure out what to do. They're 50 stories
Yeah,
up,
I'm willing
they
to
probably
bet
know
a
there's
few
no
died
way
in the
they will
collapse.
survive by going down the
So,
stairs.
The
It
answer
doesn't
to
matter
this,
what level you're on. If that machine hits you, you're done. Hence why someone might literally just stop and pray because
But
they
it
know.
hasn't- the
But
building
we
doesn't
are
fall down
saying that
until
this
the
isn't
end of the
typical
scene.
response, right? So you're literally producing headcanon to excuse
So
something.
you're-
silly and
he's
boring.
basically saying there's a freeze, fight, or flight response.
Well, they
Froze.
certainly moved
That's
as
it.
soon as Bruce Wayne called and said, maybe you should move. And he's like, oh shit, you're right. Everyone
And that's
get out, get out."
exactly outside influence. Hey, yo, you should move. Oh shit, I should move. Let's move. Like that
Okay,
happens.
so
Come
this
on,
whole
guys.
9/11 argument, there's a difference. 9/11 happened in an instant. When that plane hit, everyone was like, "Yo, what just happened?" In this movie, there's like a lot of time in between where Superman and Zod are fighting, and when that building
No,
in
it's not-
specific,
but
gets
that's
blasted
but
to
they go into that building, right? Almost instantaneous. Just as you're
but there's
saying.
Yeah, but they're
already
watching
news-
everything
there's
else around
already
them
news
collapse.
going on about
Yeah,
Zod
everything
and-
else
so,
around you, like, what is
I was
that?
thinking,
What is that?
hey, maybe
Oh
I
shit,
should
it's
leave.
Zod and Superman.
Yeah, you guys are getting caught in the woods. My point was that you're going to
Caught
have
in the
people
woods,
that are
bro,
going to
there's
Not in the
realize
woods.
There's no
It's because you
escape.
can't answer for it.
No,
I'm in the
saying-
woods because I'm running away from this film. But go ahead, bring me back.
All right. So
All right.
obviously, yes, Wayne's seeing all this happen, and then he sees one of his employees under a steel beam, which he lifts with. Wait, did he have help when he lifted it?
He
Anyway,
did have help with this.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did. He
yeah,
lifted
yeah.
the beam. Of course, the guy who was in there is an employee of his, and of course that comes into play later with wonderful Lex Luthor basically sabotaging the man.
What was his name?
I don't even remember.
You forgot his legless fucking name.
his
corporate culture.
I don't know, wheelchair man. I don't fucking know.
Wally.
I mean,
It's
Wally.
Professor X.
Wally.
No,
guys,
there's no way,
everyone knows
Wheelie.
that.
I'm calling him.
was it
Wheelie.
Wally? I think. Yeah, I'm calling.
He
him
said
Wheels.
they call you
Well, his
Wally.
name is Wallace.
I'm calling Wheels.
I'm gonna
It said
call him
Wallace
Wheels from
groaning
now
in the
on.
subtitles. So
Okay. And then you see obviously Bruce Wayne sees the kid, the girl here, and he saves her from a steel beam falling on her. And of course, you see where's your mom, and he points to the building, and it's destroyed. And
Beautiful
then you get the
emotional scene right there. You won't
Yeah.
get that in Marvel.
then you
What?
What?
Wait, what?
So okay, what about this scene is good?
Are you kidding me?
To
I just
ask,
watched
listen, I'm asking the real questions here. Like,
What
what
about
about
Do you guys
this
just
scene
not
is
like
good?
emotion in films? Like you just
Okay.
literally
No,
want to watch
Oh,
it.
well, can
Like, it
we
makes
can
no
we be
sense
clear?
at
Can
all.
I can we just get clear what we're being accused of? Either we like soulless Marvel films, or we don't like emotion in films. I don't really know what the argument is here. Marvel has the Sokovia Records thing, which is basically an extrapolated version of this scene. I kind of like
Yes.
this scene as far as it goes. I think drawing this juxtaposition, as I said earlier, between the man on the ground and the superpowered godhead at the top is a good dramatic use of contrast. I think that's a good idea. But the fact that this is one thing I'm willing to praise about the film can't be held against me as something I'm not willing to praise about the film.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
Also, in this
You gave
scene,
props.
So all of that dust and everything,
Mhm.
Batman 100% got cancer after this. Like all that.
A few years
Okay, if we're
later,
gonna,
man,
if we're
that's
gonna
gonna
relate
be
this to
fantastic.
9/11, you know how many people got like
Yeah.
really bad cancer? Like
And
everyone.
there's a
who
lot of
breathed that
asbestos
in,
he's breathing.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
You're done. He's out in 8 months, brother.
The praise for the film, though, will end just before you hit that fast forward button because this is when
the praise for
this
the
is
film
when
will
things
be
start
before
going
you die of
quite
cancer.
badly wrong. Okay, so Bruce Wayne is supposed to be a pretty clever guy. He's supposed to have a pretty wide view of things. He knows how societies function. He has a fairly grounded sense of morality. He's a fully fleshed out sort of philosophic human being. He's pretty good as a character. He's looking up at the moment and he is seeing a giant evil alien spaceship destroying the city. And he is seeing Superman fighting the giant alien spaceship destroying the city. As a result of the fight, people he knows and loves die. But this person who's supposed to be pretty intelligent, pretty clued in, will put the blame for this on Superman as opposed to on the giant evil alien spaceship. Though if Superman wasn't there, everyone, including he, would have died. I don't think this is a particularly compelling introduction to Bruce Wayne's character, but it's a necessary one because the entire film relies on both of its protagonists being amoral idiots for the majority of it.
Yes.
Why the hell does Bruce Wayne look at Superman and say, "You are responsible for this destruction"?
Because it's supposed to show his moral is being corrupted morally by this event. Like even Alfred talks about that. Yo, we've been doing this 20 years. Why are we changing things now? Because it changed when those guys fell from the sky. Like that's the whole point. Like this is the moment where his morality gets corrupted.
I understand that point, but this
wouldn't
is
corrupt him.
No,
because
it's not
he wouldn't be
that ego.
stupid enough to.
You have to remember, this is after Joker has killed Robin. He's killed Jason Todd. Just like in the comics, he starts to lose himself.
No. You stop comparing.
That's not in the
really,
films.
Yeah,
that's not in the films.
Stop
It says,
comparing comics.
Can I finish? The British guy went for like 10 minutes. So
the British guy.
Yes, I like it. Let's go.
Too much
this
platoon.
is after Jason Todd was murdered.
Point.
That is shown to everybody with his suit
with the
having
suit
bullet
that's
holes
marked
in it.
on.
He's starting to lose his moral compass and his humanity because all of the good people around him are dying, and he's realizing that no matter what he does, the bad people are always winning. And so now he is starting to see the bad in Superman because of what happened to Robin, and because all of his efforts are basically being nullified.
I apologize that I packed 5 times as much content into twice the length. But where is Robin's death? Where is Robin's death in these films? Did I miss that?
They show it.
What show?
Well, they don't show
They
that.
show
They show
it-
his suit.
Right.
Wait. Clearly state where Robin's death is in these films.
It happened in the comics, guys.
I'm saying straight up movie. Straight up in the movie when he's walking past, it's got Robin's actual suit spray painted. Ha ha ha! You could not save me, or you couldn't save him. Explicitly said it there. And actually, Zack Snyder's version.
Wait, Ego.
Are you
really
shitting me right now?
No, because you're interpreting how he's interpreting that.
How did you return? No. How did you interpret
because
that?
we were asking you where is his death in this movie, and they show his suit
at the beginning.
If you see a damaged suit that says you couldn't save him, what are you supposed to do?
But Ego. Here's the thing: how are we supposed to pick up on that emotional connectivity between a damaged suit with a spray paint ha 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 on it to him losing his moral code?
So how?
Yeah, what the fuck? All that is supposed to be is an Easter egg, and you know it.
That's all you can't interpret what Easter. Oh, that's the suit that's damaged, and it says it's supposed to be Robin. Robin ain't there. I guess he died.
Is the rest of this film is the rest of this film entirely comics accurate?
No,
I didn't say it wasn't. I didn't say it was. All I said was.
Hang on.
All I said was what they.
You're telling me that the backstory is found in a comic that the film will then go on to disregard. So,
I'm not saying that.
Well,
I said
you literally said that the Robin suit is evidence that it actually did happen, but it's in the
Robin
comics, right?
suit that's damaged that says ha ha ha. You couldn't save me.
Okay.
What do you think it's supposed to mean?
Wait. So is the rest of this movie's plot? Is the rest of this movie's plot in Easter egg form?
Eject
we have
AJ.
to look at.
Please eject AJ. I can't have this right
you're
now.
gone, dude.
Bro.
Yeah, AJ, you can't be interrupting with the Clooney shit, or we're just all going to.
Unless you're going to pull out your bat nips, and I don't want to hear.
Bro.
Anyway, going back to just the moral question,
Yeah.
I think because I understand what you're saying, and I think that there's some. I disagree fundamentally that you can invoke comics to justify. I don't think you can because the rest of the film will not do that. But the other point is that this is a guy who has seen his parents die in front of him. This is a guy who, let's just for the sake of argument say, yes, he saw Robin die. He couldn't save Robin. I understand all of that. None of that, however, produced the effect that made him see the good guy as the bad guy. It seems to me more like the film thinks it's incredibly convenient for this to be the moment he pivots on a dime, but it doesn't actually substantiate that in his character. And the reason I say that is because the film will go on to do that, and it will keep doing that. So it's not just a one-off time. It's basically saying we need Batman to do this because otherwise we can't set up the fight. So what's the quickest, most cheap and convenient way we can manufacture that pretext? Well, here he is. And I don't think that's particularly good storytelling, though I do see what you're saying.
Okay, well then how, in your mind, then how would you want to evoke the fact that me Batman, me no like Superman, me go get him, boom, boom, boom? Like, how would you do that? How would you show that?
I think I would have a huge amount of trouble doing that, to be quite honest, but then I probably wouldn't try and put it into a film.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Well,
there we go.
This is the only way it's done because you can't instantaneously think of a new concept, Platoon. You fool.
Oh my god!
It's a fair question. It's a good idea to try and imagine ways in which a film that is flawed can be better. My problem is that I'm not very familiar with the comics, and I'll admit that off the front. But I don't think I need to be because the film isn't either. My problem is that I don't really see any way in what this is the meta problem with this film is that it is trying to package in 10 years of film development into a single film. And so you are skipping over basically a decade's worth of story when you can actually try and create this. Then you could maybe have worked this into it better, and you could then maybe have imagined a better film out of that.
I agree with you.
This is everybody right now.
Do you bleed?
The answer is no. I'm a cartoon. But,
So, yeah, you know what? That is a point that Vex actually brought up after watching this past weekend. Is that they needed at least 2 movies to flesh this out more.
Right.
They just jumped from Man of Steel to this, where they could have easily had another movie, even one movie. I would have taken that over just jumping in.
The easiest and quickest way of doing that is that you actually introduce these 2 characters together and they get on first, and something happens during the period of their alliance, which then drives them apart, rather than starting with this premise, which is that they are morally opposed, even though the film can't really show why.
I think you could start with this premise with Batman watching Superman destroy Metropolis, and then do the detective thing with the premise that he already thinks that Superman is a bad guy, and as he's detecting and feeling it out, he starts to slowly unravel that maybe Superman is a good guy after all. And then that could be a decent way of, at some point they meet up and they slam into each other like they did in the end of this film, but all in all, something drives them together, and it shows Bruce that Superman is a good dude.
And I think that's where they messed up by just jumping ahead 18 months to this scene. I think that was a huge problem. I think they messed jumping up. Ahead.
They messed up.
Don't do that. Don't. Don't do it to me. Don't do it. Not right now.
Dude.
Wait, are we gonna bring you over to the side of criticism against this movie?
No, I'll be honest in the criticism, but I'm not gonna shit on it because of Martha and parents. No, I was like, hey, it was actually a great attempt at trying it.
No,
that's fine.
You're doing the running man
all day.
You're just dancing in one spot.
So no, I'm shuffling, baby. I'm hitting you with the hammer. Hitting you with the hammer. Hitting you with the hammer.
This is where we get the the introduction into what Lex's plans are, as we find out later in the movie. So he's obviously, again, finding kryptonite that's at the bottom of the Indian Ocean, where one of the the world engine thing was.
World engine,
yeah. So, and then this part here.
Oh man,
this part here is where we get introduced to the Jimmy Olsen CIA agent, which I didn't know was a thing. I don't know if that's in the comics or not. I have no idea.
Zack Snyder hates this character, man.
Yeah,
Zack Snyder hates Superman.
It's not that.
He domes Jimmy Olsen in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it's not that. In the actual scene, they meet up and she says, "Who are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm in for the other guy. I'm Jimmy Olsen." Like that's the cover. Like she doesn't even know that who he's supposed to be there. That's why she looks so confused when it starts popping off, because he's like, "Oh, I'm in for the other guy, but he's also CIA," and she does. That's why him saying ignorance and innocence are not the same. Is because she really did not know he was supposed to be there.
Yeah, I think that's a good line, but it doesn't really explain why he doesn't then shoot her.
Fair. Again, criticism.
Ditto. A problem with this scene is that Lex Luthor's plan is to frame Superman by having a lot of people shot, and I challenge anyone to find me a single scene where Superman used his gun.
They don't shoot. Go ahead, Vex. I think you got it.
Vex has her hand up. That means
everybody
quiet.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt or talk over anyone. I just want to point out in this whole sequence when Superman's trying to be framed. So one of the things in Man of Steel that was really important was that like Clark didn't want to hurt anyone, and even when he's fighting Zod, it's a whole issue in which he just wants to try and save the guy as opposed to resorting to killing him. But then the second that Lois is in trouble, he just starts smirking Middle Eastern dudes like out of nowhere.
He didn't kill nobody. He didn't kill anybody.
There's a bunch of dead bodies everywhere afterwards.
Because in this,
he throws his alien body. He hits this dude.
Guy through a brick wall.
No, listen, no. The cut scene is they start shooting and then they start torching the bodies to make it look like Superman murked everybody. That's when they take it out.
I think
okay. So when does
that scene adds a little bit of muddying the water, which I think is probably helpful. However, you can't burn a corpse and hide a gunshot wound. That's not how biology.
That's what it was a flamethrower.
Yeah, but they shot people. Like,
and the rounds were actually the secret government rounds that trace back to LexCorp. That's the whole point. It wasn't supposed to be.
I know it's the whole point. That's the problem.
Superman doesn't use guns. Even if they couldn't trace the bullets, they could still tell that these people were shot. Which it's
a pile of ash. It's supposed to be a pile of ash, bone and ash.
It's supposed to be, but it isn't. We see meat. We see human flesh.
The one bullet that mysteriously goes into her book that she takes home with her, but nobody checked it.
I've never seen a round shaped like that just did that little damage. So
I've also
I'm sure they wouldn't think that's mysterious or anything at all. They just move
However,
on.
it's a third world country. You see a pile of ash. You saw Superman. You can try to put two and two together.
So when did Superman start organizing his bodies into piles when he lasers them to death?
That's what I'm saying. He didn't. The government.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
I know.
What
in the eyes of the government,
right?
They'd probably want to frame him accurately.
It's not the government framing him. It's Lex Luthor.
It's Lex. It doesn't matter if you hear about a bunch of bodies and you're thinking like,
what I'm saying is whoever is trying to frame him is absolutely terrible at it, and it's Lex, and he's also terrible at hiding evidence because he uses his own privately made bullets. So good job, bro. You outed yourself.
The whole thing was on purpose, bro. The point wasn't to actually bring it to him. It's like, I need Batman to incriminate
himself.
Like, you don't understand. You literally don't understand.
He didn't have to.
Andrew. I mean,
he's like, no, he didn't. No, he's like, he did the whole thing so that actually Batman would actually go after Superman.
Yeah, but hang on. That's kind of what Andrew was saying. Like, for that to happen, the framing has to be competent, right?
Framing
they
has
can't
to,
leave clues leading to somewhere else. Because Batman has to genuinely believe that it was Superman who did it,
right? And
so any countervailing evidence precludes that plan.
So Lex has to rely on Batman being an incompetent dumbass in this movie.
You guys expect Batman to physically go to the Middle East and investigate it?
Bro, he fucking has a bat plane.
He has a bat plane. Wow. He's a billionaire.
We've seen him in other movies go to different continents.
In Gotham. So yes, he should ignore all the pedophiles and sex offenders.
Bro, he's super obsessed with Superman, right?
10 minutes of
Can I just very quickly on that
go there? Yes.
On that precise comment, you expect him to ignore petty criminals to go after the big bad guy is literally his whole character arc in this film. The reason he goes after Superman, he says it in an actual line. The criminals he's been catching are small fry. He's more interested in getting the big bad guy. That's his entire reason for being.
Did you miss his intro or the secondary intro to him where he takes out an actual sex trafficker? That's not.
No, but he's I didn't miss that. I'm saying that he
compared to Joker.
He complains about that later in the film. When Alfred tries to tell him, "Didn't you spend loads of time catching criminals?" He says those criminals were small fry. So you're simultaneously trying to tell me that we can't expect Batman to go after the bigger bad guys, and in the same film as Batman complains that he's not going after the
wasn't
bigger
the
bad
sex
guys.
Trafficker part of wasn't he tied into Lex Luthor's Russian guy thing and that whole plan? Wasn't that why he went after him though? Because I remember he says that the what is it? What the hell is the white Portuguese?
The white Portuguese.
Whoever he thinks he is, if he thinks it's a person at the beginning, he actually says, "Well, he's tied to sex trafficking," and so that's why I thought he was going after that guy initially, which ties into you find out later the kryptonite to stop Superman. So it is all tied into Superman.
At this point, he's not fully convinced that Superman is completely evil. It's building up. He's not to that point yet.
So what was
where he is completely convinced he's
Hold on.
So
you're saying as the audience we're not convinced?
No, Batman is not convinced that he is, which is funny because what it means is since the fact that he's not fully convinced it is acknowledged, you don't think that when bad things are happening and they're being relayed as a Superman issue that he might want to do a little more investigating to be sure of something? He just kind of runs with it. So again, it's Lex. It's Lex.
I think right now they're just
Lex
trying to
guaranteeing that Batman's a fucking idiot. So yes, he'll go with my plan without me being detail oriented.
He protects Gotham. That's his primary focus.
So why does he care about Superman? So
Superman doesn't live in Gotham.
If he cares about Gotham so much, why does he care about things that aren't in Gotham?
Because that shit happened near Gotham, bro. Wayne Tower went down.
Outside of Gotham, why does he care about that?
Wayne Tower went down and Superman took it down, and that's quite clearly portrayed in the film as the origin of his obsession with Superman.
Yeah. So why does
And it's in Metropolis.
So why would so man, I'm trying to make sentences right now. So why
why don't get it? Huh?
True. So why is it that so you say that he's not completely convinced that Superman is bad? This is a statement that you believe, right? At this point in the movie. So why in the first scene with Batman, he is looking menacingly up at God, saying pretty much like telling the audience, I don't like that guy.
No, he was convinced.
It's the art. It's the art of cinematography. This movie, it's completely dead.
Well,
at that point, he's convinced. I say he is convinced at that point because this is why he actually starts the whole investigation into the White Russian, because he knows it's got the weapon that's going to be a kryptonite.
We have a BVS defender saying Mr. Turner didn't get it.
No, all I said was he was convinced at that moment.
He disagrees with you.
I just say it's a moral absolutism. At that point, it's corrupted, but it's absolutely corrupted. He's like, I hate this guy.
I agree with you. I understand what you're saying.
Now at this point, Batman's getting more violent with his.
At this point, he's
interrogation.
Interrogation tactic. What did we think about the introduction to Batman here, when he's like clinging to the walls?
Where he says "Good evening" and is Spider-Man actually? Oh, it's fantastic.
I thought it was
crazy. I love that he crawls around the ceiling like it's The Exorcist. It's the fucking most.
You know what?
Terrifying.
It would be menacing. It would be creepy.
Panel in one of the comics. I mean, it's comic accurate. No.
What's a comic?
Hold on. You keep making this argument.
Bro, you gotta stop doing the comics, man.
Yeah, you did this in Man of Steel as well. You keep forgetting that this is for a general audience that has not read comic books. So as a film on its own, I shouldn't have to read extra material.
BA, when you make a film, you're making it for the general audience, and you don't want to make them do homework to understand your film. So I don't give a shit what happens in the comic book.
Corner. It's common sense. He's trying to hide from the people coming into the room.
No, but what we're saying is his exit looks very goofy, and your argument is, well, it's comic accurate. And while yes, maybe it works in a comic visually, but that's why you can't always adapt things one-to-one, because sometimes it doesn't translate well, and it looks cringe and fucking stupid. So
that wasn't even my problem with that scene. Isn't even the way it looked. So I think it looked a bit silly, and also the fact that he's just hanging in a corner when he could have escaped at any given moment, as the film clearly shows us when he does that. My problem is rather that the police go in, they see children in cages. They see a guy chained up who is quite clearly the person who put the children in cages. They are way more concerned at shooting at Batman. And yet the first time I think we find Clark Kent speaking about Batman, he suggests the police are on Batman's side. Which is not anything the film really
because they're saying that he runs around with impunity. He's like, why wasn't anyone done anything about him? That's why he would think that. But again, he actually gets to do some investigative journalism. They show you in this extended cut that was
extended cut. They added a little more to that.
Right.
Wait, so why does the cop shoot at him?
Because he freaks out.
Because he's scared of him. It's like a Batman demon.
Batman has existed for 20 years, correct?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that the police would, make sure that everyone knows that Batman is a thing and will do like
Batman
injustice.
He said that he'd never seen them before. He said
it doesn't matter
on the police department,
bro.
If it doesn't matter if he's seen it before. The police have to tell him like, "Hey, Batman is a thing here."
But the dude did almost shoot his own partner, so he's not exactly the.
This new recruit is probably about to lose his job.
Oh, he's out. Yeah, he's out. He's getting fired. Yeah,
he was miscasted. It should have been a female cop, is what you're saying.
Probably not that. We'll agree. Anyway.
Wow, I'm gonna put fucking logs right through your truck, buddy. That was so sexist, you piece of shit. You're basically a rapist.
Oh god. Well, here's Vex's favorite part of the movie when Henry Cavill takes his shirt off.
That he should have just escaped. You do realize he was trying to hide in the darkness so that he could go back and let those women out, because he didn't know it was police or who was coming.
Well, he
could have been
watched
more bad guys. It could have been more traffickers.
That's an assumption.
Saw they were
I guess
police.
I can't finish a sentence.
Yeah, the police.
I gotta have an accent.
The thing is, if he sees the police there, shouldn't the police be letting the women out?
All right, honestly,
know it's the police.
for the defense,
bro, and most people are interrupting you because your mic's ass.
God damn.
Sorry, just saying.
But yeah,
we can't hear you.
Let's ignore the actual context of the
No,
film.
no. You are right, and I do apologize. We have been interrupting. Would you like to finish your point?
Yeah, go
I
ahead,
would,
buddy.
yeah. And you haven't actually been interrupting me. I just been making fun digs at you're such a nice actor.
Someone has to.
So, he doesn't know it's the cops. He's hiding in case more traffickers are coming in. Obviously, he wants to beat the shit out of them, and justifiably so. When he realizes it's the police, he doesn't want to hurt them, so he escapes. You got to remember, the women are still locked up, too. He would want to go back and let them out, but he was trying to clear the building first, which is what a real hero would do. They wouldn't let them out and put them at risk if there's more traffickers there. So that's why he didn't escape. He didn't know.
I can see that. I'm just wondering how much of that is headcanon versus what's in the film. So like he's infiltrated the building already. That's fine. Would he not have, for example, taken out all of the traffickers and then freed the people himself? I mean, he's chained the leader of them up, so he can't be too worried about people coming up from behind him.
But people do come up, and he doesn't know who they are.
There's
no way he could know it was police.
So and also the problem is
how he is
posed. How he's posed, he's not in a very battle-ready pose. He's like in the corner. Both of his hands are away from his central body. So he would have to drop down and then punch rather than just crouching behind something and then like just jumping up and punching something.
There was nothing in the room to crouch behind other than the guy.
I don't know, a wall.
Hide behind a wall?
Okay, so I'll do some explaining.
Okay, so he needs to saw out a hole in the wall.
Let me explain.
Hide in it.
I have a door here, all right? The cops are about to come in.
The room, and that's where the cops came into. You want him to hide behind that door.
Let me explain. So people are coming in. I don't know who they are, but I need to be in the best position to eliminate them. So instead of hiding in whatever corner does he do hide in? This one?
In a dark
up here,
corner.
like up here, like a little spider boy here.
Well, like a bat would do in a corner, right? Doesn't a bat hide in darkness in a corner usually?
I don't care what a bat does. Batfleck is fat. Anyway.
Okay. There's the player haterism right there.
Wow.
I'm putting my player hater blockers for this section.
Wouldn't you just want to stand right here, ready to attack whoever comes through that door and just jump scare them immediately instead of waiting menacingly in the corner? Like, doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, no, he also doesn't attack them when they come in the room.
Yeah, he doesn't attack them. He just looks at them.
And they shoot, and then there is the unanswered point, which is also that the police shoot at him. He escapes. I don't think there is. Unless the extended thing added something I missed. I don't think there is a scene where one policeman, an experienced one, for example, turns to the other and says, "No, that's Batman. It's fine." So I understand the panic argument from that. It's just that I don't think the film really supports this. And given it's going to go on to make a pivotal part of Clark's idea about Batman, that the police are in cahoots with him, I don't think the film actually establishes that they are in a way that would make him believe that, because he's not it's not just Batman who's been around for 20 years at this point. Superman's been around as a journalist for a while at this point as well. So is it the first time he's encountered these stories? Where did he get the idea that they were in cahoots from?
He just became a journalist like the next day.
He's already in work in the office.
He's been a journalist for 18 months, I guess.
He's basically an intern.
I was a journalist in my past life, and I was an intern for 6 weeks. And after that, if I didn't know something basic like here is the most important vigilante in the city, I might have been sacked.
But it changed the fact that Perry won't actually let him cover it. So maybe he's covering puff pieces for 18 months. It might be. But it's just like, well, hey, he's been covering puff pieces.
I don't know how much longer Vex can stand the same.
Yeah, I was going to say, Henry Cavill shirtless. So that
go back to Henry Cavill's shirtless. It was a good scene. It's a nice quote.
Yeah, there you go. It's making this conversation much better.
This whole juxtaposition here is that basically she's worried about what he did, how it looks to the world, and that he's like, I don't give a shit. Basically, I'm gonna get in the bath with tub with you shirtless and give you a flower, make you feel better. He's conflicted.
The rest of the bouquet is for him.
Of course,
she only gets one flower.
Besides being distracted by a very shirtless Henry Cavill, I was kind of perplexed because she's the only witness to what happened over in the desert. And I don't think she's ever called to the hearing or called to give testimony. We're talking about the CIA, which randomly extradites vaguely Muslim-looking people for things they haven't even done. And they don't think to interrogate or interview her about what she alone saw.
Would they be like super biased? I know that they'd probably still question her about what went on, but
she even goes to Washington to see a military man, and nothing happens to her. Like,
well, she goes to Washington to show up for the hearing, though, and they don't even call her.
Nothing. Yeah.
Do you think that's because somebody was bought off? You know.
Can I just point out that I really love Jeremy Irons as an actor, but he is miscast for this role totally.
Like, no,
I liked him for it.
Can you say Funnel Fairy Butterbar?
This was my favorite part of the movie. Was Alfred? He was just a breath of fresh air.
He was based, bro.
He was based. I loved him.
I actually didn't.
Jeremy Irons as this role was like, another casting in my opinion.
He was underused. That's the only reason I don't like him as Alfred.
Yeah,
fair.
You just kind of like.
Honestly, he just is there for the sake of being there, kind of.
He's the second worst Alfred. Second worst.
What? Who's the second worst? Who's the first worst?
The last one in the Batman.
Andy Serkis.
You done made ego shuffle off, man.
He just hammer timed out.
He just hammered out.
Oh, so he's always trying to.
He's trying to figure out how to calculate and murder Superman in cold blood now. If I'm not mistaken. Well, can we go back to the one scene where he takes out the bad guys and the cops shoot at him and he runs across the ceiling like The Exorcist? My thought is, aside from branding bad guys to make sure they get shanked in prison, why exactly are we
that part of the film either, did you? Because that's not why he does that.
So why does he do it?
Hold on.
So
what happened?
Why does he do it?
Hold on, before we move on.
He doesn't brand them so they get shanked in prison. He's marking them because they're sex traffickers.
Hold on. Before we move on,
to do what with them?
Mr. Cynic has a job to do. God damn it, he's got to take off.
Whoa, this was such an interesting time to leave because that's such a fucking.
Well, he's got to go see another potential shitty DC movie now. We don't know yet, but he's gonna let me know.
I do. At least it's the end of this stupid fucking universe, though. Thank God.
There's still Aquaman.
Oh, you got Aquaman.
Oh yeah, fucking A.
And Momoa
and shits on beds.
The ocean never forgets.
Go ahead and shout out whatever you got to, buddy.
Yeah, check out my Transformers 7 review if you and check out the comments. They're hilarious. There are a lot of people defending it. Maybe you can join. Yeah, join the Snyder cult and defend Transformers 7 quality filmmaking. But yeah, that's what I got going on, and The Flash will be dropping later this week because I'm going to go see it right now.
Awesome, buddy. Of course, thanks for stopping in for as little as you could. I appreciate you, and we'll definitely have to have you back on when you can spend more time and make fun.
I know. I'm so sorry they had one showing, and I wanted to stay for this entire thing, but
hey, man, it's all good, dude.
That's why Platoon and actually Andrew are here, though.
Yeah,
of course. I'm sure they're so happy to be here.
Oh, we'll take up the slack. It's fine.
Yeah, Cynic, I'll be in touch, and then of course, like I said, we'd love to have you back, dude.
Yeah, 100%. I will return. And bring B.A. Turner every time I'm on. I want him to come on.
I like that. It's a nice
agree on a movie.
The yin and the yang. I love it.
Well, we found more Snyder fans on Twitter that can probably be in the Justice League stream.
We still have Justice League.
I say
make sure they're not bots.
I say we should get a movie that B.A. Turner and I agree on.
Okay. We can talk about that.
Oh, no. I disagree because UV B.A. Turner is a much more interesting fight than Batman v Superman is. So.
It at least has a plot to it.
Cynic?
What's that?
Do you like any Nolan films?
Yeah.
Well, then there you go. I love every Nolan
Hey,
film.
we are doing a feature. We
should do Tenet. I'm sure Cynic loves Tenet.
I'm gonna have an aneurysm if I have to do
We are when it gets closer. When Oppenheimer gets close, we are doing, I think, The Dark Knight.
Oh, I'll count me in on that one, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
So that one we will do, and I'll invite. Yeah, we'll set that up. I think it's next month, right? When Oppenheimer comes out. So.
Yeah, week of July 17th. I have it in the calendar.
17th will be Dark Knight, so I'll be in touch with a few people here. We'll get them back. All right, Cynic, thanks so much, dude. And let me know how that movie is, buddy.
Will do. I'll DM you.
Waka.
Thanks.
Take care, dude.
Later, buddy.
My head got a little bit bigger.
That's what she said.
AJ covering me up. Get his ass out of here.
AJ.
On the prison branding thing, because I think that's a really interesting idea. But from what I remember, the film says that people who are branded with the bat in prison basically die, right? If I'm not mispassing that. And I'm wondering how that sort of gels, because I thought one of the more interesting underlying parts of all the Batman stuff is that the criminals Batman sends to prison or puts down eventually form this group that fights against him in the long run. So how does that work if everyone he brands and sends to prison dies?
So he's not doing it so that they die. Lex actually uses that against him as part of convincing Superman that Batman's killing people. So it's his way of tricking Superman.
Oh, no, I understand that, and you're right, but it's not. I mean, Batman never tells anyone, because you're right. Batman isn't doing that to make people die, but it is said of the brand by the police, I think it is, that people who are branded with that do die. So whether or not Batman intends that to happen, that is what happens, and that's the reason I'm asking why.
He's secondhand murdering people.
No, that doesn't.
Eventually, he has to know that that's what's going on with his brand.
He's not responsible for what happens after
indirectly
killing.
Okay, that thought process is saying I go up to a judge because I killed somebody with an explosion, and I go, "No, judge, I was blowing up his car. He just happened to be in it at the time."
That's a horrible
Whoops.
comparison.
So,
like, he's just branding someone. It's like, okay, think about it this way. If a judge puts a pedophile in prison and other prisoners do a really good job and they kill that guy, is that judge responsible for that guy's death? No.
Yeah, but the judge doesn't brand him.
He basically does. He brands him with a life sentence and a maximum prison.
Okay, we're talking physical brands, not emotional brands.
Yeah,
okay.
I will say this.
So
go ahead.
I think he's just trying to use fear as a tool, right? I do the same thing in my book. I'm sure you guys wouldn't like that part of it. I don't do branding, but anyways, he is trying to mark them and basically instill fear in them, right? Because if they don't go to prison or they get out, right, maybe they'll be a little less likely to do the same crime again because they might get branded again or their ass beat. You know, sometimes a simple ass beating is just not enough. Batman is not imprisoning them himself. He doesn't necessarily know if the police are always good. It's just his way.
My thing is, though, is like if the word got out and Batman heard that the branding is killing people, would he stop the branding?
Right.
Why not stop it?
I think
he is Batman. He knows pretty much everything that's going on in Gotham City or the jail. Like he's got to know what's happening, and he just ignores it.
It is one of the final scenes as well when he's able to break in and out of prison virtually at will.
With lights
He appears and
flashing
chats with Lex Luthor. So I think he probably does understand, and that's an interesting moral dilemma. Is that if you know that your brands are getting people killed in prison, then should you carry on doing it? Though I understand the point, and I think I kind of agree with you, B.O. Turner, in that it is forceful. He's not directly morally culpable, but it is a very effective way of making sure that people don't do that kind of thing again because they come to fear the brand. That's very effective. The two questions are: do you really want a Batman who is prepared effectively to instill fear through death? And secondly, what happens to the formation of the supervillains groups if everyone who is branded by him dies in prison? How can they form if they're going to get killed? I guess it's the second question.
So I don't think at this point he knows that they're all being killed in prison. And there are some adaptations of the comics where they do form that supergroup, but this one is more focused on Deathstroke and Lex Luthor, not potential prisoners. And we never got to know why Deathstroke wants to come after him. Maybe that ties into something we don't know. He didn't get to finish that part of the arc. So I 100% love that he brands people and he grows out of it. That's part of the development in this film. right? He gets his moral compass back. He becomes hopeful. He learns from his mistakes. This is just showing, again,
Thank you, Martha.
He's kind of lost his way. He's more brutal. But then when he realizes he was wrong to think that, Superman was evil and that he essentially, Superman dies because of him, that's when he becomes the true leader and changes his way. So it's just part of the development to show it.
Now I'm really confused.
He just started doing the branding. Yeah. Just when that happened, when you see him do it, he'd probably just been starting to do it. That's why Alfred's like, yo, we're branding people now? Like, they're criminals, Alfred, whatever. So he just started doing it to actually escalate. He wasn't branding other criminals before
He has a custom brander made.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, he just started doing it because Alfred's like, yo, we're branding folks now.
So
I don't care. Like, you can have it made, but it's like you just start using it, and Alfred's just noticing it. It's like, oh, so we're doing this now. He wasn't branding other people before this. It's something he just started doing.
Just to follow, just to kind of move on. This is, to me, the most obnoxious and annoying character in this whole movie. You could disagree with me, but this Lex Luthor casting to me,
you mean Joker Luthor?
This was the stupidest,
overacting
sucker
Lex.
I like it. I'm okay with it.
But it's not even overacting. This is literally just Jesse Eisenberg. That's all this is.
They saw what worked in the Dark Knight and just like, oh, let's make Lex Luthor like that. And it's like, yeah.
And it's
not.
really
I think they
weird.
saw how he was in Social Network, and they just said, "Hey, what you did with Zuckerberg? Can you do that?
Do
with
that
Lex
for
Luthor?
Lex Luthor?
Can you add more autism and dial it up to 100?
Yeah, dial your autism up to 11, please.
And his hair.
Guys,
Kevin
but he's cool.
Spacey.
He plays basketball. He's cool. He wears a monkey shirt. And
he makes a shot on his first try.
There are probably, you could make him work theoretically, but he's done a really bad job by most of the writing for his character. This is one of the scenes in which that happens. It's one of the least important ones, but the whole argument he's making to this guy is that there are metahumans, I think they call them, isn't it? There are metahumans among us already. These are the people that we
want
should
to
fear.
deter for them. Yeah.
His shtick is vaguely that gods are not gods, but gods are kind of superhumans and they are bad.
Mm-hmm.
His solution to that is to make one, which is not a particularly sensible counterpoint to the existence of gods. If you think gods are bad, don't make a god to kill gods. So there's that one. Also, I don't think it's very helpful to say that the reason we should fear these people is that they're already among us, when if he's trying to pitch his case to the government in particular, or to people at large, their only exposure to these guys is an alien attack from off-world in the previous film. That surely is the selling point, right? So you've been attacked by aliens. You don't turn around then and say, hey, maybe the real danger is your neighbors. No, you say we need this kryptonite device to stop another alien attack because we know that they exist and they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
See, and this is why I think Zack Snyder. I think Zack Snyder is a terrible director, and it's because he only looks at the surface level of things, and that's as far as he goes. So he looks at Jesse Eisenberg. He plays The Social Network. He goes, oh, you know what? Lex Luthor is just like a tech giant. I'll get the guy who played in The Social Network. This dude does not know how to cast his movies. The only thing he's ever done the only thing he's casted right is The Watchmen, which I thought was pretty perfect casting in that, and 300. And that's about it.
No, I'm okay with this version of Lex Luthor. Like, it's technically.
What makes you?
What are you okay with him feeding the Jolly Rancher to the man?
What does Jesse Eisenberg bring to the table in this?
Jesse Eisenberg to me is the interpretation that I'm probably looking more into this than he is, but the way I see it is, it's like, yo, this is like Louis XIV when he took power. He talked too much. He was always in things, and he was always about doing what everyone else was doing. As time progressed, he became the actual figure of Louis XIV that you know him to be. Zack Snyder said, I cannot give you the clean-cut, polished, and menacing version of Lex Luthor now, but I would in the second one. When you see the actual extended cuts, it's like, okay, you let him become the Lex Luthor we're going to see. Like, I don't mind that. If we started from zero,
that's fine. It's just that the problem is that the depiction we're given in this film isn't really substantiated by his character and his motives. His motives are incredibly vague in this film. He vaguely doesn't like gods because he had some undefined childhood trauma with his father, as a response to which he creates the literal devil. Now, I understand on the surface level that juxtaposition seems cool, but I don't think it makes for a very compelling character. I don't think his motives are fleshed out. I don't think his plan makes any sense at all. Again, you don't frame Superman by having people shot. You don't frame people to fight each other and then in the back end on a contingency plan have the devil made as well. I don't think he's a fleshed out character. I don't mind the portrayal in terms of the acting so much, but I don't think the character is well written at all.
Right.
So I will give you that. I'm just saying that I think they were going to try to flesh out his character more as we got closer to actual just Snyder cut for parts one and two.
This is why we needed more movies.
So
right.
So real quick, I can understand why some people might not like this interpretation of Lex. I mean, it's just like the Joker. Some people hate Heath Ledger's Joker, right? Because it's not your typical comic Joker, right? It's a different adaptation. I loved Heath Ledger's Joker. I did like this twist on Lex. And the reason being what Snyder was trying to do was, again, show what would Lex Luthor be like in, 2017.
Present day.
Right? We're not doing, 1990. We're not doing 1950s because the same Lex has been done over and over and over again. The way he showed him was, this is what a spoiled little brat would be like because this is young Lex. Right, this is a much different, take on it. Usually, Lex is older, or much older, or the same age. This is a younger, spoiled Lex, right? He's just trying to gain power. He's trying to play games.
Yeah, except that I don't think the spoiled part of this comes into his character at all. I mean, his whole motive is that his father abused him. I don't really see how that can be cast as spoiling him.
Well, wait, what? He was abused in this version?
Yeah, he talks about it.
He says,
he says that his dad basically beat him. And
in fact, it was one of the parts he went and cleaned for a little bit.
You got to remember,
they briefly mentioned, and that's supposed to open up the entire movie.
They tried to add in back 30 minutes of the movie to add context to things, and like Platoon said, it helped. It was so the help was so minimal. It just still didn't make the movie any better to me. They needed
real quick. I just wanted to finish that point. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
Again, this is, I think, just character development because you see once he loses, right, his attitude completely changes, especially when he's spoken to, by Steppenwolf and he figures out what's out in the universe. You see in Justice League at the very end, he's a very clean cut, dapper, Lex Luthor, and you can tell he's just going to be like a strategic genius who's set on taking out Superman. So it shows what these events did to him to make him the Lex Luthor that everyone expected. Just like no one got to see the Superman that everyone expected that was going to happen, but we didn't get to have Man of Steel 2. We did get to see what Batman is supposed to eventually be like in Justice League. He's a true leader. He's hopeful. He has faith. It's all character development. And the problem with a lot of the normal audience is they expected like the end Superman, Batman, and Lex to be there from the very beginning. They didn't want the development. They didn't want to see trials and tribulations. They wanted to go right into basically Lois and Clark.
No, okay. I mean, I can respond to that because I'm not a big DC person. I'm not a big comics person. I don't have that hang up at all. I don't think Lex's character development, as you put it, actually accords with the description you give him, as you just gave him. He's not shown as a spoiled young guy. We don't see him being spoiled. Again, his backstory is he was abused by his father. We're seeing him as, I understand the point about difference. Yeah, it's a different depiction. I don't mind those at all. But I don't think the character, as we're given it in the film, is actually substantiated by his own backstory. I don't think his motive is born from his backstory properly. And I don't think there's actually a huge amount of difference between him as we see him at the beginning of this film and as we see him at the end of this film. So my problem isn't that I expected him to be old, mature Lex Luthor. My problem is that it's depicting young Lex Luthor, but it's not actually creating a character with that. Everything about him contradicts itself.
So, I was going to say, his motivations as a villain are extremely unclear throughout this entire movie until he fucking slits his wrist in a pool of the alien goo and gets
not only that.
Whoa.
Well, that's not even the thing. The thing is that he doesn't know you don't know what he wants because he wants Superman dead. Yet he wants Superman to kill, or he wants Batman to kill Superman, but he also wants Superman to work for him, or it's something along those lines. And you go, dude, you can't have it all. It's either Superman's going to die or Superman is going to work for you. But you have to realize that doesn't neither one of those things can exist with each other. And it was almost like Snyder or the writers couldn't figure out what.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
It was like Snyder and the writers couldn't figure out what motivation to use, so they took both.
Right.
This is Snyder's thing as a filmmaker generally, as a writer and as a cinematographer. Snyder is very, very impressed by surface level contradictions. He finds it very interesting when you can say, well, let's say that Superman is a god, and you can tie God superficially into religious themes of gods versus devils, and so that is basically Lex Luthor's entire motive. It's not actually particularly deep. He just likes the imagery. He likes the juxtaposing imagery of gods versus devils, and so he puts characters into roles they don't really fit, and he doesn't write them any more deeply than you see a painting on the wall. And that's the reason he uses so many paintings on walls to give the themes for this film. He's not a very deep character constructor. He doesn't understand character. He's not very interested in character. What he's very, very interested in is themes, and he's very good at putting themes across visually. But if you want any kind of substantiation for that, if you want any depth to it, Zack Snyder will fail you every single time. There's not any depth to the characters he's creating or the motives that they have.
Fair enough.
Right, that's what I was saying. He's just a surface guy.
Also, I like how the cops just let that guy just paint
with no damn legs.
Yeah, no
with
legs.
no legs. Also, like as soon as you see him like spray painting, it's like, all right, pull out the taser. We got to get this guy down. I don't care.
This guy down.
Part of me thinks that the police might believe that too, though. That's why they let him do it.
No, they say, hey, get down from there. So
I know, but they don't really make it
obviously. He's a disabled guy. I mean, they're
Mr. Wheels is upset.
So he paints I think it's the F, the top line of the F, like really slowly. So they just let him sit there and just finish before getting him down from there.
Would you want to pull down a disabled guy or tase him?
Yes, because he's committing a crime, and that's what justice is.
Yeah, but think about today in reality and what happens with police and the optics and what media can do to police officers. It makes
I have a job to do.
Like, okay, I'm not.
I have a job to do.
Hazing a dude that's in a higher place and all that, either way, that can't end up good, and we'll end up with a lawsuit. You know, I know it's not good. I don't believe that it's good to be graffitiing anything, whatever, but that would probably go bad.
Just use a fishing line. He's got no legs.
I
use a fishing line.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the real world motive there. I think that's a good point. It's just that, again, the film isn't playing up anything like that with the police in this film. It's not part of the fictional universe. It's part of the real life universe. But I think you're again creating a bit of headcanon if you say that the reason they didn't put him down is because in the real world, police being seen to attack minority people is bad. If the film wanted to make a point about that, then I would like it. But the film doesn't make that point. The film also struggles a little bit with
that plot in there too, buddy. They have 14.
So Snyder's very honest about the fact that he tries to play in real world events and realism.
So true, but then Snyder also describes himself as a very liberal Biden voting Democrat. So I don't think that he would really be on your side there. I mean, as I would probably be on your side about the police antics, I don't think Snyder would be. But on the film itself, though, as opposed to simply talking about real world police antics, I think the film also struggles here because it is trying to force in this moral dilemma with Superman. What do the people actually think of him? It's trying to fast forward to the point where Superman's place in the world is morally conflicted, and half the people don't like him and half the people do, without, again, substantiating that within the film itself. He's shown being a hero, but we are also shown people think that he's a villain. The problem is we're not showing him doing anything particularly villainous, and we're not shown any build-up in popular sentiment of him being a bad guy.
But that's what's taken out. One of the scenes is they asked the lady that's at the hearing, she's like, I want to look him in the eye and says, who do you to get to determine who lives and who doesn't? And that's what starts the moral quandary with Clark Kent.
Well, this scene right here was taken out of the movie too. This is added in where he's actually investigating. He's going to Gotham.
Right.
He's investigating. Right. He's trying to talk to the woman who was at the hearing. And then this guy's like, you better get out of here before the Batman comes, because he gives his own form of justice and nobody can say, he doesn't answer them.
This entire problem with Superman dates back to Man of Steel, which is a very small part, but this is how Zack Snyder treats Superman, is that Clark Kent stole clothes off a clothesline. And that might smell that might be a small little nugget that
Maybe
not many people would think of, but Clark Kent wouldn't do that.
Oh, so he should walk around naked and possibly expose himself?
Yes, if he looks like that, yes.
Amen, bro.
Relax, Vex.
Wrong question to ask.
Relax.
Dude,
Relax.
Somebody mute Vex's microphone for a second about naked Clark Kent.
Lord.
Now, but here's the thing. But here, no, but honestly, the Clark Kent would knock on the door and ask if he can borrow some clothes or whatever.
Yeah.
Naked.
I don't think
He
anybody
is good to a fault. And so that's the way Zack Snyder treats the Superman is the complete opposite.
He's human.
I don't know, man. He
but
is
they
human,
never
bro. Come
show
on,
his human side.
Yes, they do.
His human side is fucking Lois Lane. That's the human side we're showing.
Right.
Fair.
That's
fair. I can say
the guy in the bar. There's a lot of and what he did as a kid, how he reacted to different situations. It shows that he has human emotions. He reacts as a human, but he has to also control those abilities, and that's the quandary of him being an alien and a human. All he's doing is showing what Superman would go through as a human in today's world.
So that's true, and then I can buy him stealing clothes. I can't buy him killing people. I can buy him stealing clothes.
He doesn't kill people.
He
kills
can kill
an alien.
I'm pretty sure that guy he pummeled through a brick wall died. I think.
No. He said I didn't kill those people. He says I did not kill those people.
He's only killed
He
God,
takes a human man and pushes him through a wall. How is that guy alive?
I did not hit her.
Yeah, I know he says he doesn't kill them, but I mean, in which case the action of the film doesn't accord with what he says. He might be deluding himself, but the film doesn't make it clear that he is.
Right.
My problem though is that this is a guy who is portrayed as being, well, the problem with Superman the problem the world has with Superman, is that he is taking what they keep insisting on calling unilateral action. He's a guy who is so powerful, so right, so good that he's doing everything outside of any kind of judicial oversight, which is fine. I think that's a legitimate problem to be raised. How do democratic states account for someone like Superman? The problem is, though, that he hates Batman for exactly the reasons that he is lauded. He goes to the Senate because he recognizes the problem with himself. He doesn't recognize the problem with Batman, who he just hates because that's what the film requires him to do. But there's nothing about this film that cannot be solved if they just went and chatted one time.
That's what I said.
Have one conversation, the whole thing is done. There's nothing about them which actually contradicts. And I understand if the film wants to portray it that they don't really understand each other. I just don't think the film is portrayed that they don't understand each other, because they are very aware of their own place in the universe, and they should be intelligent enough to recognize the similarities there.
That's exactly what I said. I think I told Vex this over the weekend. I was like, why didn't Batman at least reach out, or one of them reach out to the other and go, hey, let me find out. Let me really get face to face, eye to eye with this guy and find out more information, get a feel for him. If Batman's such a great detective,
it sounds like the most boring movie ever. Hey,
it's already boring.
Whoa.
So I'm going to use
you know what that, hold on. You know what that would have done actually if they had an actual conversation is it could have gone. Yeah, it would have gone the other way probably, in which there still is a conflict, but the difference is now there's more depth to it and more context to it. So it would have actually made for a more interesting final battle scene and development between Batman and Superman.
It would have meant more. It would have had more emotional weight behind
exactly.
it. Like,
Can someone explain to me why Lex Luthor wants Batman and Superman to fight?
Fight night.
He wants one of them to die.
He wants
one
of
them to fight night.
So the framing didn't work. So now he wants them to fight each other. So I guess Superman hopefully dies. But he knows that Superman is a superhuman. So it's kind of.
I think he's been saying I've been trying to drop hints to Bruce this entire time, and if he's not going to do it, I'm gonna Thanos this shit myself. That's my thinking.
That's describing what he's trying to achieve, not why he's trying to achieve it, which I think is the question that's being asked. Why does he actually want to do any of this shit when he can just go to the ship and revive the devil?
This world do what they do. Like, what? Can you explain to me why some politicians are corrupt and evil? Why are other elites corrupt and evil?
Also,
everyone has their own reason. And this is just showing basically what would an elite do And because
If
you
you could
want
do it.
power, control, and money.
I will push. I will push back on that one because I'm asking for reasons. I agree with you. You can explain why politicians in real life are corrupt and evil. There are reasons behind that that are explicable. There are not the equivalent reasons with Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is giving the surface level impression of that stuff, but nothing about his character or his motive actually explains why he's doing any of that.
I mean, I guess less people out there to stop him from doing weird ginger shit. You know,
Weird ginger shit.
Good one, Whitey. Good addition.
And another thing is that why is he asking Mrs. Incredible for more kryptonite when he already has kryptonite?
No, he's trying to get it. He's trying to get it imported. He's saying it's him.
Which he does anyway.
In Indian Ocean. He does it anyway. But he's trying to be like, well, hey, I need permission to do it. But if she's not going to do it, he talked to the other congressman or the other junior senator on the committee to actually get past it anyway.
Here's my point, though. Like, if he's so powerful and he's going to do it anyway, why even put it on their radar that he wants it? I mean, I understand he's trying to sell them on the idea like we need this deterrent. You're not going to do it. Right. I'm going to do it anyway. So why not just get it anyway?
If you're selling,
I don't think he's used to being telling no. I think
he's not used to being told no, but then if why ask for permission? He's not the kind of guy who would do that in any other situation. Also, you're telling the U.S. federal government that you have a weapon potentially more powerful than nukes, and you're expecting them to say, "Yeah, you can have that. That's fine."
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, and also Gotham is also portrayed as being an incredibly lawless place where import-export controls are probably not going to be really operative.
Yeah, but that's Gotham.
Right. That's Gotham, though. That's what I'm saying. Gotham is different. He's trying
by the way, how many fucking dreams or like visions does this fucking guy have as just a regular human being?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying like in every freaking other scene, this guy's having nightmares and dreams. He sees the end of the world.
It's 20 years in, man. Come on. It's 20 years in. You see, there's at least 2 or 3 empty bottles of wine. There's a shitload of painkillers, and there's a one-night stand too. It's like,
but like,
carefully medicated.
How many self-medicated hallucinations have you had, which have given you an accurate depiction of the apocalypse to come?
That was the nightmare sequence.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're gonna get to that.
That's not that.
No, but I'm saying like the bat. Like I'm just saying like, and then he sees flat. It's like Jesus Christ, man. I don't know. I wish we would have seen the girl in the bed, though. That would have been nice.
So he's also trying to get it. He's trying to basically stir the pot with the government as well to push them towards bringing a trial forward, right? Because he wants to kill people in front of Superman to, again, make Superman look bad so that the people hate him. They're showing what elites do, right? Elites use the media, which he did. Elites use politicians and their corruptness to gain power and influence, and they use powerful people or other people to also do the same thing. So it's just showing what an elite person would do to try to gain more power and control. That's all Lex is.
I got you.
Yes, except that the thing that's trying to his attempt to bring people to trial is an entirely separate plot beat to his attempt to acquire kryptonite. So the attempt to acquire kryptonite does not explain, it doesn't actually impact his success in bringing a trial or a hearing forward that Superman appears at. That will happen anyway. All he needs to do that is to convince people that they're dangerous, which they already believe he is. The kryptonite thing is a separate thing because that's setting up the acquisition of the spear later, but it's not. They're not part of the same plot sub-arc at all.
I would say that I think that most people do believe that he's dangerous and were looking for a deterrent to begin with. Because even in Man of Steel, they sent that missile that was trying to track him. He broke that and talked to Carol first and said, "Yo, I'm a dude from Kansas. Just leave me alone." So they've been looking for determinants and way to spy on this guy. So when Lex comes with something, the junior senator is basically trying to block the whole thing. But the other senator is like, "Yo, no, we agree with you. What do you need? Because we want the deterrent." And that's the main crux of the whole thing. Like the junior senator has a love affair with Superman, and he can do no wrong in her eyes until she meets Mr. No Legs McGee. And then change her mind.
No Legs McGee. I like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So this is that scene you were talking about when he's going to Lex Luthor's party that he was invited to, and he figures, oh, this is a good chance to get some information. I'm going to get into his computer systems, and they have a whole plan here. And this is where you see the Robin. You guys were saying earlier, the Robin suit with the. What does it say? Haha, joke's on you, Batman.
I think I did watch the extended version because
Well, this was in the regular version.
Okay,
Yeah.
But here's another problem though. This is why we needed to have more movies before this one. I would have loved to see a Riddler kind of movie as well in this, because it wasn't really. I liked Jim Carrey as the Riddler, but that was not a good movie.
Oh,
right?
Jesus!
So,
well, again, there was a comment earlier that Eisenberg was supposed to be Riddler, but they wrote that part out and made him Lex Luthor. I don't know if that's true, but I wouldn't be surprised with this fucking shit show.
Oh, great! More shitty acting incoming.
Well, shitty acting, yeah, but a couple of points of praise. He has a really nice car. That's a lovely car.
It is a beautiful
and
car.
Gal Gadot is pretty attractive. That's nice.
Yeah,
the rest of it doesn't really work though, because doesn't Clark have to have it explained to him who Bruce Wayne is?
Oh, that part bothers the shit out of me. How does he not
very,
know
very rich and famous? Also, how does Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor in this universe not interact before this point, given they mix presumably in the same social circles? And also, how the fuck is Lex Luthor's security this lapse that they can let him just stroll down into its most sensitive locations and then walk out again at whim?
Yeah, there is no lock on that door.
No, and then she's not even suspicious. Like this, nothing comes of this. Like she sees him going into the room, and he gives up some bullshit excuse. I thought this was the bathroom, and she's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm
it's
like
you walk into US nuclear command centers and you say, "Sorry, I thought this was the toilet," and they say,
and I'm like, "Wait, what?"
It's pretty person privilege. There you go.
Yeah,
you have to also consider that Lex knows he's Batman, and he wants him to do this.
Wait, Lex knows that he's Batman?
Yes, see, that's why. Yeah, that's why he kept sending the return checks.
He knows who they both are. He knows Clark.
Yeah, that was the point. He was trying to get
wait, hold on. How does he know that?
He's Lex Luthor. I don't know.
Lex Luthor, he's so smart.
I don't know. They don't explain.
That seems like
is
a plot
really,
point.
really good question, and
nobody knows.
He's Lex Luthor is not a good answer to.
No, that's what I'm saying. But that's what people would say.
Well,
that's an
look,
important
guys,
plot
we
point
had
you gotta explore.
They only had 2.5 hours to explain this. You can't fault them at all for
you really
not
don't
getting
know
to
it
that
until the end of the movie when he has Superman on the ledge and he's threatening his mom.
See,
that's when he explains it.
This would have been nice to include because I would have actually maybe liked Lex Luthor a little bit more or found him to be a more compelling villain if I could see what he was doing behind the scenes aside from I just want people to fuck each other up.
Vex, it's in the comics. You have to read the comics to understand it.
Fuck that argument.
Yeah, but the Platoon's right. That's the argument I kept hearing. So, well, he's Lex Luthor. There's ways he can get from.
By that, hold on.
I would say that they showed how Lois Lane was able to figure out who Clark Kent was. And at least we saw her do some investigating to figure that out. I would have liked to have seen how Lex Luthor figured out Bruce Wayne was Batman.
Right.
I don't know. I would at least elect shown instead of just saying, "Hey, I stole his checks, then I wrote on them and sent them back to you like a pen pal." That's one way.
So by that logic, shouldn't Bruce Wayne know who Superman is because he has just as much tech and all this stuff,
and he's the best detective in the world.
Yeah.
Like
so,
I think he wanted to be ready for him before he started looking for him. That's what I think. I think he wanted all his deterrence set up. He knew about the kryptonite.
But we know that that's not the case because we see him training to be stronger and shit later on when he finds out that he's enough.
Well, my thing is though, in the beginning when he sees Superman destroying Metropolis, why at that point is he not trying to figure out who Superman really is?
That's right.
He's got 18 months. I don't know. That's what I said. I need to know what's been happening for 18. That's why I said you need to show me what's happened over 18 months instead of just jumping ahead. That's my point.
It's just
I said that's a problem that I have.
In short, we all agree that this is a fairly big plot hole in the film. I think we all agree
that's fair.
That's fair.
I'll agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and then then this is the face to face they have as their counter. Their egos. And it's like your Batman's basically saying like you got Clark Kent saying, well, why are you doing what's going on in Gotham City? Why is nobody doing anything about Batman? And then he's obviously getting defensive and saying, well, wait, you work for the Daily Planet. Like they write puff pieces about this alien who can destroy everything. And you're talking to me about, Gotham City, stay in your lane. And then, you're right. Platoon's right. Like how the fuck did he not know who Bruce Wayne was when he had to have that? It made no sense.
There was a line that Bruce Wayne said. He said, "Oh, are you from the Daily Planet or the other guy that I own?" I was like, hey, that's top G energy.
That's a baller move. I own a newspaper. It's just. Then of course he gives the I don't like freaks dressed as clowns line. It's like all right. And then there's good old Lex coming in to kind of at this point obviously. He knows who they are, but
he's so unmenacing, standing between.
That's my point. He's not intimidating.
Cavill.
He has
quite an interesting shot.
He does have a really good line there, though, because he shakes both of their hands and says, "Wow, you both have really strong handshakes." I like that line. I think that's really good. My problem is that I don't understand how he knows that that's what they are. But given that, if we accept that he does know, that's a good way of hinting that he knows. That's a pretty good line. It's everything before that doesn't work, but that line itself is good.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay. And then he's obviously following Bruce Wayne because you can hear Alfred talking to Bruce Wayne about the information he's trying to get. And then, of course...
Well, I'm glad that they included that, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got Superman basically seeing that there's a fire in what is it, Mexico, I believe. Yeah, and then he does his Superman thing at that point. He takes off, and then
he does. But he does very, very frequently forget what powers he has, which is really annoying in this film. So like he knows, he sees that he has to see it on TV to go away and save the children, which is fine. I think this is visually brilliant as well, and they are trying to portray him as the cliche hero, and Batman reinforces Bruce Wayne's opinion of him as the person only he can see through. I think that's all really good. But the problem is it's showing Superman using skills and abilities that he will forget he has later on. So he sees that person, he flies all across the world, instantly saves them. There's the rocket save thing where he saves people in the middle of an explosion. We see him hearing problems and identifying it. And then when, like in the hearing scene, he doesn't use any of these skills, so he misses the bomb. They try and explain it away. It doesn't work in any conceivable way at all.
Well, they explain it. See,
Yeah,
in the original cut, this is a problem I had with the original cut of the movie. They try to add in this, though it was lined with lead to keep the explosion smaller just to blow up in that one room. But then they throw it
to where he can't see through lead.
Yeah, but they don't tell you that in the original, in the
either.
theatrical cut. They don't say that. In the extended cut, it's a 2-second line that they mention to try to add context to it.
But they were trying to make it seem like, oh, I didn't see it because I wasn't looking. Like, no, motherfucker, it was lead. But they didn't explain how he can't.
This
see
part
through
was
lead.
cut out too. This part they cut out.
He can't see through lead at this point, I think.
So this is a weird. This is also a weird thing, in my eyes, because like, he's seeing all these bad things being talked about on the news. He's being confronted with the idea of what life matters more. And
so that's
like,
Barbara Gordon, by the way.
How do I choose which one? And then he, instead of flying over to his mother, he just calls her. I feel like that's just a really weird choice to just have him call his mother rather than like fly over to your mom.
I think it's part of the humanity. I would say it's part of the might be part of the humanity.
But we just saw him fly to rescue a bunch of kids, though. Why wouldn't he do that for his own mother?
But not
because his mom is his mom. I can be regular around my mom. I can just call my mom up.
Yeah, but like,
but he knows that she's and she's like something's off. So
if I need comfort from my mother, I would 100% fly to her.
Especially if you could beat her in 2 seconds.
Like, because over the phone, like, especially when you're talking about like, hey, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, it is a very, like, for example, my grandmother, her house had a very distinct feel of safety. But when I called my grandmother, it didn't feel the same. So I would just say, like, hey,
still heard her voice.
Yes, but it doesn't have the. It doesn't.
I think you're really overthinking.
Sometimes all you need to
overthinking it. Okay, I completely disagree.
I just need to hear your voice. That's it. That's it. Like when people talk, like my family say all the time, like, "Yo, I just want to hear your voice." That's all. That's it. Like, hey, you're good. Hey, I'm having this issue. I can get on the phone. I don't have to fly to you, even if I had the superpower. Like, let's talk. This is my humanity we're talking about, and I just want to do something normal people do. Normal people.
So
when they miss
I'm
someone or have a
overthinking
question,
it, and yet I can't understand it at the same time. I don't understand.
I didn't say you couldn't understand it. I just said like
Cynic
you just
isn't here. If I can just like use a line he might have used, which is that like any amount of thinking about this film is overthinking it. So,
and also,
how
like,
dare you?
Thinking is not a way to understand a Zack Snyder film. It's not how
That's your head canon about your grandma.
Yeah, this is where Lex meets the wheelie guy over here and we find out convinces him to do this whole blow up the hearing thing, and he gives him.
He didn't know. He didn't know.
Right.
Lex was using him as a pawn to again. He wanted to set the trial up. That's why he was getting in their ear. He didn't need the import license. He was just trying to aggravate her and then get attention to it. And then he used Wally in his hate for Superman.
One more.
To actually get, in front of the world. And he got the trial together, and that's the perfect place to blow up people and blame Superman.
I just wanted to point out that Holly Hunter's hair looked amazing in this movie. That's all.
True.
A
The only thing
positive.
amazing
A
about her
positive.
character.
Pretty good.
It did look good.
Only thing amazing.
I think if you forget the whole thing about the importation of kryptonite, I think that narrative makes some sense. He is trying to go to, as you say, into putting on this hearing, but I think you're probably including the kryptonite acquisition part of that where it doesn't belong. That's not part of his plan to go to into a hearing. That's something else entirely. I think the plan to go to into a hearing is a fairly well-established one. I think that's done quite well. My only problem is kind of mechanical, which is that how the hell does the US Senate not have security measures on it which detect bombs in wheelchairs? Even if you lead line a wheelchair, A, it will weigh like 5 tons, and B, you can tell there's lead in it because metal detectors can't pierce it. So how the fuck does that work?
Plot convenience. Very, very bad. It's true. That is a great point, actually. Because how would he get past the security? He goes through security when he comes in, doesn't he? So how would that get past him? That makes no
Lex
sense.
could have had some tech on it, right? That would cancel out.
I think that's
the sensors. I mean, again, he is a tech genius. He has
That's
all the
true.
wealth in the world. There's ways.
But the film doesn't show that he does that.
Yeah, the
And
film
so
doesn't show it.
It's you're right. It's not too much of a leap of the imagination.
The average moviegoer wouldn't even. They just focus on, oh, it's lined with lead. Most people know he can't see through lead. They wouldn't be focusing on how did he get through security.
Right.
I mean,
But he's right. If they would have explained it, it would have added a little more. It'd be like, okay, I understand, because he is Lex Luthor, so he has the ability to do that. They're playing on the audience to it's just weird. I don't know. But this is your bat branding scenario here. This is what happens. This is that dude, the sex trafficker that got branded and got stabbed. He got shanked. Wasn't he transferred? He got transferred to Gotham, right? From Metropolis, I think. And then this is the result. This is what you guys were playing off of before. So, and then, of course, see, this is, again, I think Platoon brought this up, where Lois Lane was the only witness, and yet she's in Washington, D.C. to go to the hearing to see it, but not being called into the hearing when people mostly know that she's close with.
You have to keep in mind who he is, though. That's the Martian Manhunter. He could have basically prevented her from becoming a witness with his influence. But he's just observing right now, right? He hasn't exposed himself to Superman or Batman.
I would say bringing up Martian Manhunter brings up a lot of world building problems with how this guy operates.
Also, like, he's not at all in it until the close of the extended version of the Justice League film.
Right.
I think it would be way too much of a stretch to say, well, of course, this guy could be out there doing all of this stuff. Again, unless it's in the film, it's not in the film. So,
you learn it later on.
But it's not
later on where?
In Justice League, you learn that he's Martian Manhunter. And if you know anything about Martian Manhunter, it would make sense that he would be protecting Lois. And he comes to Earth and he always observes first. Right? I mean, again, that's how we did it in Smallville and all that. So.
Was this explained?
I know that, and I know you.
But was
it
explained prior to his scenes?
Right?
That's
no.
Yeah, I'm confused. Who's Martian
It's
Man?
not fair.
Yeah. See, even Vex doesn't.
I'm gonna have to hammer out on that comment.
It's Martian
man,
Man to her, guys.
It's Martian Man. Yeah, he's a Martian Man.
No,
they never explain who Martian Man is.
They
expected you to know.
And Justice League, because they didn't get to make his entire Justice League. So that's
I will say it's. All I'm saying is that I know that you know, and I know that I know, and most people that read comics would know, but a general audience wouldn't, and that's not necessarily fair to them. So I would say that's something where, like, you could give the name, or you could show a scene where he goes into Martian Manhunter and goes out, or you can see him like in some kind of a spaceship and like, what the fuck is going on? But if you don't give me any of those, it's kind of hard for the audience to kind of clue in on that. And the last thing you want is that guy sitting next to you that read the comic, be like, oh my God, in the comic book in issue 327, that's Martian Manhunter, because I've seen. No one likes that guy, and I know because I am that guy. So
but
that's why we don't like you, Egan.
What the hell? You love this hammer time that you're getting, guys.
This is the problem. This is the problem with comic book movies, is the fact that there's a small minority that goes and watches them, and they understand the lore to a T, and that's you comic book nerds. And then everybody else, the general audience, is the vast majority of who's watching and paying for these films.
And they're not going to know that lore.
And they don't know about it. whatsoever. You have to.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to treat them with kid gloves.
Yeah,
and give them enough to go, oh, that guy. You know, you don't have to explain all at once who that guy is. You can just wink, nudge, nudge, move on.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah,
The thing is,
I would slightly, and I don't really like that hard distinction as well between general audience and comic books fans, because the films themselves are not comics accurate. So you cannot have recourse to lore of a comic that you are discarding. It's like when the MCU in Thor: Love and Thunder invokes, is it eternity, infinity, whatever the fuck that thing is at the end? And then
terrible.
People will say, well, in the comics, it's this. And then I say, well, in your film, it's not. And none of the rest of this film, of course, is a comic either. So it's not just a general audience normie problem. It's not these poor, simple-minded fools who can't be expected to know the lore. It's that the film doesn't require them to know the lore to begin with. So you cannot have recourse to lore to explain a plot hole in that film.
Right. But see, what they're doing is they're marketing it to a group of people who do understand the lore. Right. And somebody like Zack Snyder, what he's doing is he's going, hey, you guys who know the lore know this person, so don't worry about it. And that's the problem with these writers and stuff like that as well, is that they're sitting there thinking the general audience understands everything about these characters. And what I'm saying is that the general audience, because they don't pay attention to the comic books, because they're getting the world built in the screen in front of them, don't understand half of the things that are going on. You have B.A. Turner sitting here saying, well, if you just read the comic books, and it's like, no, general audiences don't have the time to.
Well, hold on. So the fact that he's Martian Manhunter is not what's important here. I'm just letting people know that, that's why he may have prevented her from being there. The thing is,
but that's
this trial, like, Lex may not have wanted her to die.
That's fair.
She is a potential pawn later on if Batman does not kill Superman, right? That's leverage. He would want her to stay alive. Now, the other part of it is this trial and these hearings, you got to remember there were several stages, right? You had the lady from the Middle East get interviewed initially or have a hearing, right? So sure, they could have had a hearing with just Lois. He probably just didn't want to show two hearings. There was no need.
But I think they should have, though, to show that it's an ongoing thing. Ever since the incident where the world was introduced to Superman, we've been having congressional meetings, and we need to interview everyone. Like, that's what happens. These things take time, of course, because whatever you see, maybe a year after that, then's when the congressional meetings start. But they should have said that, hey, as part of the congressional meetings, we're actually interviewing everyone. All I'm saying is, bro, between B.A. Turner and me having to actually defend the Snyder cut or this movie right now, bro, I feel like Henry Cavill after doing all this heavy lifting, bro. Like, God damn.
Genuinely, I
told you guys were going to bleed.
This is a very, very sincere compliment. If you guys had written this film, it would be a better film.
Right.
Because you would actually take care to make sure that the lore you understand is in the film. As the film is, though,
we would
it's
understand
not in that at all.
Right.
That's the problem. And it's also, and I understand, and I think the explanation for the potential role of the Martian Manhunter is really interesting. But again, it's not in the film. You have to have knowledge of something completely outside of the cinematic universe for that to make sense.
It's not relevant yet in this film, though. That's the point.
So why introduce it in the middle of it?
No,
you don't. Here's the thing. You don't introduce a gun in Act 1 and never use it in the rest of the acts, and that's kind of what they did here.
Justice League. We got to remember, he was going to have two parts to the Justice League, and Martian Manhunter was going to be a major part in part 2. That's like the big, like, oh crap! The whole time it was Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter has nothing to do with.
Bro, I understand that, but the only problem is like WB, Warner Brothers, and Disney, and the way they did Marvel are not the same. So Marvel tells you up front, this person has a 5-movie deal. This director has a 6-movie deal. So it's almost guaranteed that they're going to be able to make those 6 films. WB doesn't do that. It's like a per movie basis. So you had to make sure that, hey, if I make this, it has to be as complete as possible and close-ended so that if I get a sequel, I can actually make it a second movie or a continuation that makes sense. I'm sorry, Vex.
No.
You're about to have an aneurysm for not
No,
being called.
I just like when she puts her head in her hand. And
You're good. You're good. Okay, just on the whole WB thing, I understand that, you know, higher ups are going to have an influence on whatever you end up getting in the movie theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
But given that they knew who Zack Snyder was and they had seen that he had a great deal of success before, and also several of his movies were through WB Studios as well, why didn't Zack Snyder just make it a firm thing in his contract to make X, Y, and Z movies so that I don't have to listen to you say, oh, in his extended universe, in his sequel, in this, I don't give a shit about any of that.
That's fair.
So I'm just wondering why Snyder didn't stand up more for the vision that he had.
I will say that could be part of the ego, pun all intended, of Zack Snyder. And I think that's actually part of his downfall. And that's part of the reason I'm having trouble with still writing with him after the comments he's been making by saying, you know, hey, those people were too retarded to understand, you know, my brilliance or what I was trying to do. Like, we're trying to ride with you because you went through a tragedy while trying to make this great movie, and it kind of fell apart. You know, we're trying to piece this together, but we're having to do a lot of heavy lifting and apologetics on your behalf. And on top of that, you're calling me a dummy because the people that didn't understand it couldn't understand you.
Well,
like,
it's just how far do we go to defending a film,
right?
Or, you know, or giving it leeway, and we keep on saying like, well, it's not his fault. You know, it was compacted. It's not his fault. It was compacted. It's not his fault. It was compacted. Until you finally say, well, like
this is
shit.
that's
You have to keep in mind he didn't write Batman vs Superman. He didn't write Man of Steel, and he didn't write Justice League.
Didn't he co-write all of those though?
He co-wrote Wonder Woman. I mean, that's the best I can give him.
Yikes!
Chris Terrio wrote this. Chris Terrio wrote Argo.
But, I mean, didn't he stake his life, his reputation, and his entire army of bots on getting the Snyder Cut released because it was his true vision for what he wanted to say?
I will say this. I will say the only reason the Snyder Cut got greenlit is because HBO Max and Warner were so fucking stupid to launch an app with no goddamn product. That's all it was. That's all that was.
They needed people to subscribe.
And they needed to pay him $80 million to finish a movie that was technically 80% finished anyway. It's like if HBO Max came out with like, yo, on HBO Max, you're gonna get this new show, this new movie. If they operated like Netflix when that came out, there would be no Snyder Cut.
Are you telling me that the Restore the Snyder Cut hashtag and the whole campaign was orchestrated by HBO as opposed to Zack Snyder?
No. I'm saying that people pounced on the fact that HBO had no fucking product to begin with. And they're like, well, shit, release the Snyder Cut. Free my homie Snyder. And that's how the whole thing went.
I understand that's probably their decision making, but why the hell was Zack Snyder so very keen that the Snyder Cut be released if we're also being told that it's not his true vision for what the film should be?
The Snyder Cut was his true vision of what was supposed to be. The Joss Whedon cut got released in movie theaters. So when they said that, he said that's not my movie. 80 to 90% of that movie is not mine, and that's when people said, "Yo."
That's fine, but I thought I'd just finished being told that Zack Snyder didn't write any of these films, and so we shouldn't hold it against him that they suck.
I'm not writing with that. All I'm saying is that when he said that movie Justice League was not mine, everyone said, well, hey, if that's not yours, what is yours? And on top of the fact that people were saying, oh, it's a bunch of bots, this, or incel that, it was like, no, the studios were saying it does not exist. People would be calling dumb trolls incels, retarded assholes, and then on top of that, like, oh, it does exist. Well, hey, release the Snyder Cut since you don't have any product for HBO Max, and it's goddamn near the pandemic. So what else are you gonna do? So that's what actually led to Snyder Cut, in my mind, being created. It was a clusterfuck of good and bad luck to happen.
Well, so I wasn't saying that. Like, my point with there being other writers is that everyone directs all their hate about all these movies at Snyder. They don't realize that a lot of the decisions were made by executives, for example, as we talked about, to bring in Batman all of a sudden, right? To do a Batman versus Superman was the studio's idea. But then you have to consider that some of the writing and how these movies played out, it's not just Snyder that wrote these. It's a team. Christopher Nolan was one of two writers on Man of Steel. He wrote the script, him and Goyer. But everyone blames Snyder.
He wrote a bad script.
He wrote a bad script, right?
I will say the dude's name the whole time during this. I've said, but the movie, but I'm not going against Snyder. I'm just the movie. You know,
and that's fair, but I mean, a lot of people point it all at Snyder, and that is.
But here's the thing: it wouldn't be
ahead.
completely pointed at Snyder if it wasn't for a fact that there were Snyder cuts out there. I think everybody would sit there and agree, like, "Hey, studio interference really fucked this movie up," and people would go, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." But you have the proof is in the pudding that there's the Ultimate Edition and then the Snyder cut. None of them improve this dog shit of storytelling.
Whoa.
There's a lot of people, and I know people personally that watched the theatrical cut of this, hated it, left confused, just like a lot of the critics, and then they watched the Ultimate and they're like, "Oh my god, it all makes sense."
But you understand the corollary of the thing you just said, which is that if it doesn't work, then you can't pin it on Zack Snyder. If it does work, then it's all his benefit.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying it's the studio's fault that the theatrical didn't work. He did not want that released.
But all of this was written, made, and produced well before the theatrical cut came out. They released a bad version. I'm with you on that. But the same people were involved in writing, creating, producing, directing, doing the CGI on the Snyder cut that came out afterwards. The difference is that the bad version, you say, well, that's everyone else's fault. The Snyder Cut version, you say, well, that's all Zack Snyder. Everything he wants is in that film. He is uniquely responsible for the good, but completely absolved for the bad. And I think that's the reason that so many people pin a lot of blame on him, is that his fans also credit him over much with anything that's potentially successful. He's a weird director in the way he polarizes people like that.
That's fair.
So
can we just
think he's completely absolved from the theatrical cuts. He has
this is the
go ahead. I'm sorry.
He directed the shots. He
does not cut and screw all of the scenes. Now, real quick, another good reference is David Ayer. I'm sure most of you guys don't know what happened with David Ayer and the Suicide Squad.
Ayer cut.
They released a completely different movie. He's been completely honest online about this. He said that about 70% of that film was not what he wanted released. They changed the Joker. They changed the villain. He gave them what he wanted released, and they said, "Okay, you're done. We're going to take it from here." And they chopped and screwed it up. And what they released was nothing that he and his writers wanted to release.
I guarantee you, David Ayer is blowing smoke up your ass because his fingerprints are all over that fucking movie. If you watch that movie Hard Times with Christian Bale and then compare it to Suicide Squad, it's the same fucking shit.
Oh, that's a great point.
That's fair. I will say this, BA, you watch sports, right?
Not anymore. Yeah, no.
Okay, but generally, when you watch sports, do you watch football?
No, I don't watch any sports, but I used to.
Okay, all right. So in football, all right, quarterback is pretty much team captain, right? The most glamorous position there is in the sport. Whenever the quarterback wins, he was on his A game today. He was 22 of 27, 377 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, perfect game. Coach, he doesn't. But he doesn't. The coach doesn't play. The quarterback plays. When the quarterback loses, when the team loses, who gets blamed? Who's supposed to get
quarterback?
Blamed? Exactly. That's all. That's all they're. All they're saying is. All they're saying is if you're gonna pull up like Zack Snyder and your button down and your little vest and your tight pants and your boots and say I'm directing all these shots and the shit goes left, you got to be able to take that L. That's all they're saying, man. And I agree.
I guarantee you, if Zack Snyder's press and it was a commercial success, a critical success, and a audience score success, Zack Snyder would be jerking off to all the praise that he would be getting. But instead, these people turn they turn right around and say, "Well, it's not really my cut." The production studio took over, and that might actually be the case. But like I said before, the proof's in the pudding. We have Snyder cuts. We have ultimate cuts. It doesn't improve anything.
Well, the fight, and this is that scene we were talking about earlier where the nightmare, whatever, where he sees the Apollo.
Oh, where he has his wet dream of murdering scores of men.
First of all, if you watch this scene, I didn't pick this up before, but if you watch the fight scene, these people all have machine guns and still lunge at him with the weapons and try to hit him with the weapons to shoot him.
It's a big cliche. That's just terrible.
I mean, dude, still like
the fighting scene trope right here,
it's choreographed terribly. It looks as bad as remember the Dark Knight Rises, the roof scene when it was just choreographed like shit. This is what they remind me of. It was terrible stunt work. It was just so obvious he wasn't hitting people. It was terrible.
All right, so let me explain that scene real quick. He went there with a crew, right? He got betrayed by one of his crew members. They're shooting. They have the guns because they have to shoot his crew members. They purposely do not shoot him or try to kill him because Superman has given him the orders to keep him alive so that he can get revenge for Lois dying.
That's not convinced that's in the film.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, I really like, in complete isolation, forgetting everything else about this film. Likewise with the Snyder Cut, forgetting everything else about the Snyder Cut. I like these weird post-apocalyptic alternative future things. I think they're really good fun. You can do so much with it. The best way to make Superman an interesting character is to make him a villain. I think that's brilliant. I think that's what Zack Snyder wanted to do. But it doesn't actually fit with the rest of the film it's set in, and that's the problem. And he ultimately has to bear responsibility for that. You can't say, well, this bit worked, so it's all his doing. This bit doesn't, so it's everybody else's fault. That just simply can't stand. I think this alternate future thing is brilliant, but the reason they got here is that Bruce falls asleep and has a dream. And that's it. That's complete bullshit.
Right.
I don't think it's so much a dream as it is that's the timeline that they're trying to show you again, which is terrible because they're not telling you, because that's when actually Flash comes back because I'm too soon. They're showing you hey, this is the actual timeline in the future.
But he does that in the dream. If he'd done that without the
that's
dream,
not. That's
that
I'm
might
just saying.
make
I don't
more
think
sense.
that's a dream. I think that is the reality they were headed towards. It's a flash forward, and they're trying to go back, and then
So that is
he
not.
wakes up.
I disagree.
I know. I know. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense, but that's what they're trying to say. It's hey, there's going to be a time when this happens.
If he were awake when the Flash had broken through the dimensions, then I think you would be right. Yeah, but he wasn't. Even the Flash's breakthrough into this dimension is portrayed within the context of his dream. So therefore, it's a dream.
He said I'm too soon because he said I'm too soon.
Within a dream.
I'm too soon. It's not the dream. That's what I'm saying. That actually is supposed to be a reality.
But he was asleep.
He's not asleep until they show you him. He's asleep because he went. Flash goes back when he's taking a nap. He's like, oh shit!
In which case, the whole thing takes place while he is having a nap.
I don't think that's a dream, though. That's what I'm saying. I actually think that's a future that they're trying to.
I see what Platoon's saying, though. It would have been made more sense if he was just waking up from the dream he had, and then he just sees Flash come in all of a sudden and tells him, "Hey,
I'll take that.
Don't have him asleep at all.
Well,
have this weird cut in, and then have him you cut away from this weird flash forward thing, and you find that he's fallen over, he's passed out on the floor. You don't have him asleep at his desk because that very clearly tells you he is dreaming of it.
Who was that Flash right there? That actor.
That was Ezra Miller.
That's still Ezra Miller.
Okay, it looked different.
He wasn't beating up any women in that scene.
Okay, he just looked different. Okay.
That's a mustache. It's just a mustache, man. That's all.
Yeah. And then, you got Alfred trying to tell Batman, hey, Ben Affleck finally tells him what this why he wants what's on this ship. It's not a dirty bomb like he's been saying. It's kryptonite. And then, Alfred, and then Jeremy Irons Alfred is like, why are you doing this? We're not at war with this guy. He's not our enemy. Why are you trying to what are you going to do? You're not going to win. And, he's like, and then Bruce Wayne gives his speech, and Ben Affleck tries to act with passion.
Why'd you call it Jeremy?
Well, no, it's weird because it's weird. I mean, he lied to Alfred the entire time. Right? Alfred found out he was lying to him. He's like, you're not good at lying to me. So why are you really doing this?
No, and I get that, but why I can't picture why I don't like Ben Affleck
because he's saying if there's a 1%, because if there's a 1%,
it's just the acting period. He's trying to act with emotion, and I'm like, no, dude, you can't pull it off. That's why I don't buy him as Batman or Bruce Wayne. He's not good enough of an.
This isn't a Miles Morales situation. This is Alfred.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then obviously this is where Batman's tracking the kryptonite.
And why does he shoot a tracking dart onto a lorry he's driving after immediately? Why doesn't he shoot the tracking dart onto it and wait and then go and secretly raid the place?
Right.
What's the point of
you needed an action scene?
You
needed the Batmobile running people over and smashing into people.
What exactly he really wanted to kill people.
Yeah, what is Batman's motivation for killing everybody in this scene?
He's not purposely killing
they're
them.
criminals.
No. You don't get it.
He shoots them.
I said they're criminals. I said they're criminals.
Oh,
I said they're criminals.
Ego, shut up,
homie.
They're criminals. That's all I'm saying. They're criminals.
He literally fired 420 rounds into the back of this van and then ran his Batmobile right through it. And you're going to say he accidentally did this?
He's trying to keep himself alive. I mean, it's collateral damage. Hold on, real quick. Going back to the nightmare sequences Going back to the nightmare sequences, the one thing you guys have to keep in mind, which again likely would have been explained later on in Justice League 2, is that the Martian Manhunter does have the ability to enter people's minds and control them, manipulate them. He could have been giving...
That's crazy, but we're not
not
told
in
that
the
in
film.
the movie.
It's not in the film.
Well, but it's something that would have been explained later on. But my point is, there's
I don't
a
care.
possibility that he was giving him those visions as a warning, right? Without being directly involved.
It could be a possibility, but that is not shown at all in the film.
In a film that was never
fans.
made, it was explained. Is not an argument.
This is what I'm talking about.
saying
It's
it's a
fine for comic book
possibility.
fans. It's not fine for anybody who's watching the movies.
Because we don't know. Yeah, I don't know at this point.
You can.
I'm not gonna, bro. I'm not
you
gonna
can-
lie, man.
you-
Like, if I had to reach that hard for that statement, I'd tear a fucking Achilles.
No,
Like that.
it's-
Bro, I'm the biggest Snyder fan ever. I'm just saying, man. Like, the honest criticisms are honest criticisms for the nightmare sequence. I thought it was a parallel future that we're saying. Some people think it's a nap. All I'm saying is I can't give Martian Manhunter that much credit for doing that.
Well,
Yeah,
and then you
because
get
we never got to see the Martian Manhunter and the explanation of what he has done and his involvement.
And that is a plot hole in the movie.
Yeah,
That
No,
is.
it's not.
major
It's
plot
just-
hole.
no one is supposed to know he is Martian Manhunter. It's called
Including
having
the audience.
mystery and intrigue into a film, and he is showing them what is going to be their reality.
But
if
he's not,
things
because
play
it's
out
not,
in
it's
that
not
manner.
in
But
the film.
even though telepathy might be Martian Manhunter's thing,
It is
seeing
his
the
thing.
future isn't.
How
His
am I?
power set.
How am I, as an audience member who's never read a Superman or Batman comic, supposed to understand that?
You're
and
not.
how am I
That's
as
a
a
problem.
Even if I read
That's
those,
the
how am I
problem.
supposed to pull that that's what this film is going for?
That is also the
Right.
problem.
No
That's what
one
I'm
is
saying.
supposed to know how he is having those visions.
You're
The point
not
is,
supposed to know,
this is
bro.
the
That's the
nightmare.
problem. Like
So-
it's a film medium. You kind of have to certain things you have to tell us, because if that's not there, then we're gonna have to figure it out on our own. And now we're having an
Well,
actual
Copa's right there.
miscommunication
You're
on the whole
just going to
thing.
lose your audience because they're going to be sitting
Well,
there
yeah.
scratching their
The
heads
main-
like, how did this
the
happen?
main- The main focus is just this is what reality is going to be like if Darkseid takes over.
But it's
How he's
You
having
know
those
what?
visions are not very.
We're not even shown Darkseid in this movie.
I'm gonna have an MC
They show the mega
bro,
symbol
right?
and-
No one knows
yeah.
the dark side's coming until he tells Lex Luthor, and that's by Desaad
Yeah.
telling him, or I don't
The
know,
Omega
if it's
symbol in the
Darkseid
nightmare
himself, or
sequence
even
is-
Steppenwolf.
is
No one
symbol.
else
Omega
knows
does
it.
Which was
not mean-
which was
Martian
taken out of
Manhunter
the
at this
original
point would have been on
movie.
Earth for at least 50 years, so he would have had no recollection or
See,
knowledge
th-
that he was coming.
This is what we were
Like,
talking
that's
about.
kind of the issue that we're having right now. You can't say Martian Manhunter is so smart he can see the future,
Hey,
but
Vex.
he sent a missile to actually find Clark.
also
Like,
you must see the crutch that this thing is representing for you. Every single plot hole that has been identified so far that you've not been able to explain, you've said, well, in a film that was
You
never
believe
made
it's
and
a
a story
plot
that was
hole, but
never
it could be
written,
explained later
there's the
on.
Martian Manhunter that explains all of this. If I told you sitting here now, I am going to be the best writer since Shakespeare,
I believe
and
you,
the first
Platoon.
book I turned out was, say, Twilight.
Oh,
And then you
ooh.
said, well, Twilight's kind of shit, dude. And I said, well, no, because I will write the best thing since Shakespeare, but it's not come yet. And then the next thing I write is Twilight Part 2. And I say, well, no, the next thing will be Shakespeare. Am I full of shit, or am I genuinely the next thing since Shakespeare?
I'll bet it's gonna be nice.
Depends. Do you have a Snyderverse
Do you have a
goobers
Snyder
as your fan base?
we're gonna hit the internet for you, Platoon, and get your movie made that you've always wanted, man. The problem here too is, like, I think Vex and I were messaging each other, but this scene comes up here where this is like where Batman and Superman meet head to head, and he just threatens them, and because they didn't meet earlier in the movie. There's no. It's just nothing. There's no emotional attachment here. I don't.
You just don't care. That's
I
all
don't
it
give
is.
a shit.
Yeah.
And then you get this
you-
bullshit line. You get this.
From my eyes and ears as I watch this movie, Batman.
I will say that what they're trying to show is the fact that because Clark found out how shitty Batman is in his own of Gotham, and how mad Bruce is at Superman for being a god that he wants to take down, they were trying to build a tension that they never showed you. So when they meet, you're like, why the fuck are y'all mad at each other? But the tension would be that, like, yo, I'm taking you down. Hey, I'm taking you down.
Dude,
Like,
there's so much going on in this fucking plot. And then this is the part
that's fair.
Platoon has a point. Like, they bring this thing back and the tracker's still in the truck. So why did Batman not wait? He's Batman. He could sneak into anywhere, right? And he does anyway to get the kryptonite. Yeah. And I'm like, why just... This makes no sense. So the tracker's still on the truck.
Yeah, that is incredibly convenient that the tracker is still on the truck.
It's still there after he crashed through the truck with his Batmobile. And I'm just like, this makes no sense. He could have just waited till everybody left the warehouse, went in quietly, got it, and got out. And
but you see, what you don't understand is that the Martian Manhunter actually got into his brain and convinced him to make a plot hole in the film. That's the reason.
I'm sorry.
Martian Manhunter actually used the Force because that's actually what he's able to do in some of the fan comics. You might not know about that. He used the Force to cause the tracking dart to not fall off. So
yeah, and then you see Superman talk to his mom, and his mom's like, either be their hero or be none of it. You don't have to do this. Like, nobody asked you to be the hero. It's like, okay, more. And I think this part where the girl in the Middle East comes home and I think this was taken out of the original movie. This was added in the director's cut, the ultimate cut, where she's scared, sees them, and then tries to tell the senator that she lied, basically. The whole time she lied. Yeah. She was told to lie. She was paid to lie. And then Martian Manhunter here talks about the bullet that he found. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yes. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to be honest. I'm still looking at my notes trying to decipher what I was.
It won't be that hard for me.
This would have been a really good stream if it was just all of us trying to decipher his notes.
Just put the notes up on
like Pepe the Silva situation.
Might have made more sense in this movie.
Probably. I think this notes already make more sense.
Okay. I know where I am in my notes. All right.
No, but wait. What you don't understand is the Martian Manhunter made it.
Don't do that, man. Like, don't do that, man. Like that.
I guess I just don't get it.
Yeah, and then the whole time Lois Lane finds out who made the bullet, and all this is going on. And then you get to the hearing finally, and there's good old Lex. So what's happening here is the guy in the wheelchair. Now, this is all planned by Lex Luthor, you find out, right? Bruce Wayne's like, what's going on here? He's finding out the guy's been sending checks that Bruce Wayne's been sending to him as part of a fund. And it has, like, what does it say on there? You killed your family. And I don't know, all this bullshit. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Killed your family.
Yeah, it's like, dude, there's so much going on in this movie. In the 3-hour cut, it just keeps adding more shit, and I'm just like, and then this part here fucking drove me crazy. He's in the middle of a busy subway, and nobody sees this guy push this woman.
Actually, you know what? This happens a lot though in real life.
Yeah, I agree.
It does.
I agree.
It does.
But, like,
that does.
It's 2016. This movie, there's no cameras. Nobody catches this fucking person.
Yeah, it's still happening.
It still happens, dude.
Yeah.
Shitty cameras in New York, man. Come on.
Google Asian people.
God damn.
Google Asian people.
You lived in New York, bro.
Stop Asian hate.
I know. But still,
Stop Asian hate.
All right, then you got obviously Superman goes into the hearing, and this is
the part where he's gonna miss leg day forever.
Hold on, okay. So one of you pointed out that there was like lead on the bomb to like concentrate.
Yeah, he can't see lead.
Yes,
right.
can't see
But
lead.
then, isn't like, but it's no. You said it's specifically to lessen the explosion, so it only
that's
gets
what they
this room?
explain. Yeah, that's what they explain in the
Okay,
movie.
but then the shot that we see of it actually going off shows that it basically kablooms the
Half the
entire
building.
interior of this building.
Yeah,
It does. Yes.
that's what they said in the movie.
Also,
Martian Manhunter did
this
it.
I noticed this while watching it. It's an incredibly small nitpick, but I
Yes, it
noticed it because I'm an editor for my own movies, and it's very distracting when I find it. When she touches the jar to turn it, it's making the sound of a completely empty jar.
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
Oh, I never noticed that.
You should probably back up to just show the jar, or I don't. You can do whatever. But the jar, when it does the sound, it makes a ring. That only and how full the jar is, it would not make that ring. So, it's an incredibly minor thing. An incredibly.
Well, I pissed you off though.
Well, if you go into Audacity and you fill up a jar full of tea, or urine, there's different peaks.
I was gonna say they couldn't pick any different beverage for this. Like this looks like she's just got a jar of urine on the table.
Well, she
Well,
said
that was. I mean, that was
Yeah,
the joke, though. That was the
yeah,
joke she said.
That was the joke.
It is an edgy callback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But
It's like, I don't know. I didn't remember.
It
Yeah, I
smelled
don't-
great.
I don't like his
his,
face when the bomb goes off, though.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
makes me-
I
I don't
was
like
about to
that.
say that. Like,
I don't
his
like
face.
that.
There's that scene from The Witcher when he just looks down and says, "Fuck," and that's
Yeah.
exactly what I thought he was saying. And that's he doesn't really give a shit about what's going on around him.
Yeah.
He's just
He
doing The
doesn't look.
Witcher.
He doesn't look scared. He doesn't look stunned. He doesn't look angry that he's been duped. Like
But
you
you're
can't
telling-
see any of
but
that. He
you're
just
telling
looks,
me they show
he looks
us-
inconvenienced.
But you're telling
Looks
me they
into-
show his humanity in these films. This bullshit.
I
'Cause
said there are ports of his humanity.
Right after he just.
You know what?
and
You know what? Great
everybody
value,
was
Vin
fucked.
Diesel. I've had enough of you, sir. Okay. Right.
Whatever dollar store MC Hammer. Shut up.
What?
I think
He
his
can't take the
facial,
hammer time.
Hammer's
I
gonna have
think
to
his
hurt him.
response is just showing like his guilt and pain, and that is his shock. Like, oh my god, that just happened. I can't believe it. And
So,
he knows
yeah.
all
If only
that.
I'd
He
used my
knows it.
X-ray vision or my thermal vision or my
Yeah.
super hearing or my super reflexes to stop
I
it
didn't
happening.
really have a problem
Yes.
with his
And not
face
only that, he
there.
lets all those
Get in line with
subhumans
lead.
clean up the
Nobody's
mess.
asked
He
you why
flies
not.
away.
They lined it with lead is not an argument.
Yes,
Like-
it is. He can't
It is.
see through lead.
No, but he can see through everything else. Do you know how X-rays
What
work?
else is he gonna see?
A box
Everything
that he can't
except-
see through.
He can
He-
see,
why
but
would
he
he
can't
look
see
at-
through something.
So this is part of the humanity right here. He's
okay.
actually giving the humans, like a disabled human, the benefit of the doubt. Right? He would never assume like that guy's bad. He's
Facts.
been
So,
through
do
pain.
you
He
know-
already felt bad that he was injured
Phil.
because of
Okay,
what
sure.
happened with Zod. So, like he said, I didn't even look because he would never believe that guy would do that. And that guy didn't do that. It was Lex. He didn't know that there was a mastermind behind all this. But even if he would have looked, it wouldn't have mattered because it was lined with lead.
No, I'm sorry. That's
So,
complete
that's
horseshit.
still-
No, that is
Do you,
Well, no,
do you
this
know,
is
do
the
you
thing.
know
It's-
how
it's a part-
X-rays work? Heat
That is
vision.
super
Bro,
man
just
canon.
Take
dude, you
heat
got
vision.
shit.
Heat vision is a really good example. When you're using thermal vision, hot things flash up
I know,
as
I see
light
her.
and cold things don't flash up at all. You know how you know that humans have noses even through thermal vision, despite the fact that noses don't generate heat? It's because everything around it generates heat, so you can see the outline of something you can't see. That's how X-rays work. It's how heat vision works. It's how every kind of penetrative vision system works. That's not an argument. He can
So
see
you're trying to
everything.
deconstruct Superman's ability, which is everyone's complaint about Zack Snyder, but Zack Snyder
So
actually
you're telling
was
me
on par with what Superman's abilities are, and always he could not see through lead. That is always a weakness.
But he
And
can
now
see
you wanna
through
say,
everything
oh,
else.
he can
Hold
see
on.
through
How would
lead.
I
He
know
should
this
be
lead argument
science.
just
That's
based
what
on
I'm
Zack
saying.
Snyder's
Yeah, it's
films?
also the
He
lead
doesn't
isn't in
tell
the
you. That's
fucking
what I'm saying.
film.
It relies on you actually knowing the coming, which is again is a poor plot point to me. That's what
Okay,
I'm
but
saying. It's just,
here's the problem: is Man of Steel made it seem like he can do anything, and the only time we get a limitation of his is when Lex Luthor finds the kryptonite or whatever, right? In
Fair.
no other instance in this film or any of the other Snyderverse films do we get any sort of other weakness about Superman.
right. And
So
I think
how would
that's
I
why they
know
did
that
it.
lead is a thing?
Well, how would
That's what I'm
Lex know
saying.
that
That's
he
the
couldn't
part
see
of this
through
that they
lead?
didn't explain that to you. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how either one of them knows that lead is supposed to be something he can't see. I see that's a plot point. All I'm saying is that's been built into the lore is that he can't see through lead. Now, however you feel about, again, you got to read the comic. I understand. It's just that's a poor plot point, but it's one that's like, okay, well, I understand he can't see through
Well,
lead.
Okay,
That's
so
all.
yeah, now this comment brings up another point: is okay, assuming that he has super senses
Super
for everything
senses.
else, wouldn't he pick up on that? A and B, he already knows that there are people out to get him, and there's this whole campaign against him. Hence the hearing. So now he knows that Batman is also
Not
after him as
Snyder.
well.
This
Be a
is
little more cautious.
your
Oh
issue
my
with
God.
Superman,
Yeah.
not Snyder. If you
No,
want,
hold on.
Superman
I'm
to
just going.
always
I'm just
be
going
different,
based on a plot. I'm not trying to point at anyone here right now. Okay, I'm just saying if he knows that this is all happening in the plot of the movie, is he
because
not
he's
kind of
seen the good in humans?
I think he's
still being
damn.
too much of a Boy Scout to where he doesn't believe that this man.
My guy, that's
is
not the
doing
point I'm trying to make.
That's also
Your
not how
point is
vision
horrible. It
peripheral
doesn't make
vision
any
works.
sense.
Just
I
because
think
I'm not
it's-
looking
Your
at something
complaint is
doesn't
with
mean I'm gonna
Superman's
see it in my.
abilities, not the story.
Huh?
Wait, what?
Wait, what did? Wait.
Say it again. Say that again.
Say again, dude. I'm sorry, dude.
Her complaints are with Superman's abilities and some holes in his abilities. Like, oh, well, if you couldn't see through it, why couldn't he smell? That is just Superman canon. That's how he's always been. It's just like the argument of why can't anyone figure out Clark Kent is Superman? Well, yeah, of course they look the same, but that's just how it's always been. So if you have an issue with how
And that's a
Superman was
hole.
created, that's
a plot
fine.
hole.
But he is following the
It's a
same
plot
track
hole. It's
that
a plot
Superman
hole.
has
That's a
always
plot
been
hole that's been
portrayed.
around
plot
since
hole.
the fundamental years of Superman.
Right. So
It's a
it's
plot
not
hole.
it's not a this movie problem.
It is
that-
a
It is.
movie
It is a
problem.
this movie problem because it addresses that. And if anything, it makes it
It's been a
worse.
problem in
because-
every
So
Superman
I will
adaptation.
say I will say this. This is the one thing that I think actually Shazam got right that this movie didn't, was the fact that they were like, okay, well, oh shit, I'm bulletproof. Well, what else can you do? Laser vision? Nah. Lightning? Check. Like they actually run. It's humorous, but they run through the kind of the parameters of his powers, and that's what they don't really do with Superman. It's convenient plot points of how things do and don't work with his power sets, which was a kind of a great thing with Man of Steel because they try to show me a Superman without limits. Only problem is when you show me his limits and you don't explain how you come to the conclusion that those are the limits, it's confusing. That's all.
And also, I'd like to say that your argument that the comics did it, therefore this movie has to do it, in terms of like Clark Kent not being seen as Superman, the comics do a better job of hiding Clark Kent as Superman because
That's fair.
His whole posture is different.
It's different.
When he's Superman,
Yes.
when he's Superman, he's pretty much a bodybuilder. He stands up tall. And when he's Clark Kent, he sludges. He's more insecure.
He's clumsy.
His closers are bigger. His closers are about
This is even
size
in the
bigger.
original Superman movie. In this movie, Clark Kent carries himself the exact way
Like
he
Superman.
carried himself as Superman.
That's true.
And Smallville did a better job
Cavill
explaining that
being
too.
buff. And I would love if this movie would give depth and nuance to that side of Clark Kent. Talk about Clark Kent. How does he view the world? How does he go his everyday life? I was reading a comic earlier about Superman, and it was someone asked him a question: why do you eat? You don't need to eat. All of your energy comes from the sun. And he said, I don't care whether or not I have to eat. I do it because I want to, because it is a human experience. There are some things that Superman does that are just so cool in the comics. He wants to fit in. And I can see this film trying to do it, but it's just so bad at doing it. And it's like, come on.
Did they ever explain where the food went afterwards?
I have no idea.
How it comes out.
It's the lasers he shoots
I
out.
want
with
the
the
Lord.
inverted.
But yeah,
and it's like you can say that I'm digging too deep into it, but I am so against the idea that you can't dig deep into films and find different meanings in the subtext.
But then all these other parts of the movie, you want it spoon fed to you, and you want the answers before something happens.
I don't think that's what he's saying, man. I think he's saying it's like, well, hey, you can show me how this person has depth without having to spoon feed it to me. Like Clark tripping over, a trash bag. And like, oh God.
And I'll use a different film, for example. I'll use Dune. Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Pretty good movie. Cool. And it explains the plot and like what's happening in the world pretty well. Granted, like I know some friends that had to watch it a couple times to fully understand what was going on. But the way it pulls off his exposition is not spoon feeding, because spoon feeding is telling the viewer what's happening. Actual exposition is showing the viewer how something happens. So yeah, like I need to be shown how things work in order for the world building to be good.
And this film goes out of its way to show Superman's power set. It just forgets it when it's convenient to the plot to forget it. But it shows us all of the powers that he forgets to use in that particular scene, which creates the issue. There is no reason for him not to be using the senses we've already been shown him having in the scene where it most matters, except that Zack Snyder required that he didn't, because otherwise his story wouldn't work. The answer to that is write a better story.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. And then, of course, moving on here, we got obviously where he steals the kryptonite, does a powerlifting exhibit to try to get stronger to fight Superman, and then finds out who Wonder Woman really is. He sees that she's obviously older than she's putting on. There's a secret there because off of Lex's files, and then this is the part. I think Vex, you had a problem with this part, right?
Yeah, my question was there an additional scene to explain this first of all in the Snyder cut? But how does he know that he can use his blood to do anything here or make anything?
Because he asked, because the ship told him that he have knowledge of 1,000 worlds, and he said, "Tell me." So they told him it is assumed that they would have told him all about this off screen, right?
All this shit is happening off screen. That's the problem. And here's the thing too: is how does he? How does it? Wait. How does he know this is going to work?
The movie, you would need an 8-hour movie to give you guys
you would
everything.
not. No, you would not.
You would need hours, man. You would need hours.
You want some boring.
The fact that we have identified 8 hours worth of plot holes does not mean we need an 8-hour movie. It means we need a better movie.
A decent filmmaker with a decent writing staff can make this happen in 10 to 20 minutes. No.
So this is the part where you find out about now this part was cut out of the initial movie, Vex, where you see it right here. It was lined with lead, and of course, Lois Lane goes, "Oh, that's why he couldn't see it." It's like, well, why did they take that out of the original fucking movie? Well,
then again, how does anyone know this about Superman as well? Is the other thing
because they're relying on the fact that he said, "I didn't see because I didn't want to see." They think that that's a strong enough phrasing to say instead of saying
he wasn't looking,
it was lead. You could say it, right? I know, but that's dumb to say that. Oh, if he says I wasn't looking, that should be like, no, it's not enough. You should have told us why.
Not for Superman.
No. I know. I'm saying for the audience.
Oh yeah.
I was saying for the audience, that's not enough. I was like, oh,
this scene was added in too. They added this scene in here where he's going wherever the fuck he is in North Pole, and he sees his dad.
Question: how many versions of this film are there?
Two.
Just two.
Just two?
Yeah.
Because the version I watched has some of these. No, it has some of these scenes, but not the other ones of the extended version that you're talking about.
When you get that, depending on which one you got, I tried to get the 3-hour one, and it still gave me the 2.5 version, even though it said it was the deluxe cut and said it was 3 hours.
I think the 3-hour cut is on Max. It says Ultimate Edition under it.
That one does, yeah. But the one that I got that was 3 hours. It was actually the 2.5 hour one. So
and then by the way, Copa, I was going to ask you about. Did you notice? I mean, no offense, the fucking editing in this movie was like Vex would say, somebody who has autistic ADHD, the editing was all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
The tone was weird. It went from like these sad scenes in
the radio edited this movie.
It was bad.
It just seems like the final fight, everything is just smashed together. That's number one. And number two, Zack Snyder likes to use the zoom lenses a lot.
Oh my god,
the ant cam.
Yeah, he's fucking ridiculous.
Crash zooms.
Yeah. He's got crash zooms throughout the entire film, even when they're not even necessary. They don't add anything. Batman. They don't add any kind of dramatic element to them. They just look cool,
Yeah.
And
he also doesn't understand really how to use them properly. Usually use crash zooms to show a bigger environment and focus in on something that's human size. But he usually uses it like when he used it in Man of Steel. It is big thing, zoom in on big thing. And that really takes you out of the experience.
I think it helps you not have to animate the other thing.
Yeah. So whenever he does that, it blows my mind. And like the inner cinematographer in me goes crazy. There are
a quick question away from cinematography. So it's the scene that I think we've just gone past when he goes back to his mother's grave and has the dream. At the beginning of the film, in the backstory section, he has what we're led to believe is a dream, the bats lifting him up. And he says that I dreamt the bats would lead me to the light, and it was a lie. I'm genuinely curious as to why he dreams about bats saving him, and then when he visits his mother's grave, they turn into evil bat monsters that try and kill him. And it's not a gotcha question. I want to know why the film has different interpretations as to how he views bats.
Oh yeah, I was just
that is a good point because the bat attacks him and bites him in the dream sequence.
I thought he was trying to explain this to us in the first sequence of what I thought it was versus what it actually is to me now.
Some bats are cute and cuddly, and then some of them come from get into a land.
Dracula and try to kill you.
The woo woo.
Yeah.
It's a reference to
yeah. And by the way, we're like what, an hour and 10 minutes left into this 3 hour, and we're just now getting to. We're still actually not at the part where they fight each other yet. Where
we're finally to some plot.
Yeah, finally getting to the plot where Lex basically takes her, and he knows that Superman follows her everywhere. So he literally throws her off a fucking building and says, "All right, he's going to save you." And that's how I get him to come at me.
Oh, hold on. Is this?
She's very damsel in distress prone. She just needs to go stay at home.
She is.
Yeah.
Is this why she wasn't called to the hearing then? Did Lex pay off some people?
Well,
possibly. I don't know, because she was a junior senator, which means she may have been in her first term, but yet she's leading the committee on Superman. But I'm like, wouldn't you want like a senior senator at that point to actually lead that? And if so, like, you'd want to have Lois Lane there because she writes all these puff pieces on Superman.
And that's a whole other question. You're telling me that aliens invade the planet and destroy half of a city, and that doesn't create a committee to investigate the cause. But when a random Middle Eastern desert town gets blown up, now we have to have a committee hearing about that. I don't.
That's why I said it. That's why I said the committee should have started right after Superman fell to Earth.
From a filmmaker standpoint, I find it absolutely fascinating that this movie is extended to another hour, and there's still so much happening behind the scenes and off screen. Like it just is.
It's not doing enough. Yeah. Well, and this is where basically Lex Luthor's like he explains why he doesn't like Superman, because he was mistreated by Daddy and nobody helped him. So. Yeah, what did he say? If he said, what was the line he says, that if God's all powerful, he's not all good, or something like that, and then if he is all good, he's not all powerful, meaning like, why didn't somebody who had ability save him from his horrible father? And so he's just pissed off at the world and hates Superman because of that reason. So, and then he kidnaps his mom, and then he tells him, "Hey, you're gonna go over to Gotham across the bay, and you're gonna kill that guy for me, and then I'll let mommy go for you." And it's like, okay. I don't know, man. I just did not like this at all.
Yeah,
because Vex is right. I just don't care.
It's a worse version of the Dark Knight's moral dilemma, when you have two competing objectives and a villain who is basically saying you can save one or the other, but not both. And that film did it well, and this film did not do it well.
Right. Yeah, and then this is where he tells her, like, I have to go convince
look at
him.
That face.
I have to go convince him that if I can't convince him, I got to kill him. And then I get another point where,
can we leave it on that face just another second? That is, I just smelled.
I have to go to
terrible.
the bathroom, Lois.
Oh no! Okay, all right.
I can't take this suit off quick enough.
Why am I in this fucking film?
Why am I in this hot shit? And then, of course, Wonder Woman still won't get involved, but then Bruce sends her an email saying, I found out about you. And then he sends her the little Justice League
get
nugget.
This drive as well? Is the other
He knew about the metahumans. He knew about them.
He's been collecting.
Okay. So this is a plot point that we don't get until it's convenient 2 hours into this film, is what you're telling me.
They threw this in to tease the Justice League.
No, I know why it's there. I'm just saying that they did not explain adequately that this is the extent of Luthor's knowledge. That's what I'm trying to point out. And again, this would have made him a more compelling villain if they had built this into his backstory more than my dad touched me kind of deal.
Yeah, I would say that this would be way more intimidating if we were introduced to it in the first or second act and not the end of
the last act of the movie.
Did we skip over like the whole Bruce trying to get all trained up and buffed up?
He was building kryptonite weapons, and
that was a good scene.
Yeah, I was gonna play Eye of the Tiger and shit, man.
And then we meet Ezra Groomer Miller here, and then
I do like that he has all these like little fun
clips. It's cool. This part
I like this one in particular because Aquaman is supposed to be very secretive, doesn't want to be found, and yet he poses for the camera for about 30 seconds.
Then stabs him.
He wipes it out.
I think it's really funny that he has all these these logos for him.
He knows exactly what they want, man.
No, it's just kind of funny to me.
And coincidentally, they're the logos that they have on their suits and stuff.
Right.
It's Wonder Woman. Oh, guys, look, it's Flash. We're setting up a cinematic universe.
Then Cyborg does his. They show how he gets created, and we'll just get through this quick. But sorry, go ahead, buddy.
I also love that. I also love that whenever Wonder Woman is shown on screen as Wonder Woman, her theme plays.
That's awesome.
I like her theme. That is one.
I was
of the
being
good
sarcastic.
themes.
It's very
I know,
It's more
but
marketable.
It's one big.
I don't care.
Whenever
One
she
thing-
shows up, it's and I'm like, bro, I get
It's the
your
theme they play at the
I
Hague when people
know.
are brought in
That's
for
awesome.
war crimes trials. It's the war crime music.
I know, but she's marketable, people. They had
That
to
Hans
say on
Zimmer.
that.
It's that Hans Zimmer score, man. You got to.
It's the music Slobodan Milosevic had playing in his head as he murdered thousands of Croatians.
And that gets worse with both cuts of the
Okay, and then
Justice
this is,
League.
obviously we get to the big fight. Finally, Copa, your favorite part of the movie.
This
and
is my
and then he's
least
trying to
favorite
talk to
part.
him. Finally, he's trying to be like, "Hey, you have to listen to me."
He does
And it's
until he
like,
gets angry for some reason and just
Man,
stops
I'm like,
talking, even
"Oh
though
my
he's
God, you're
he's
fucking
pretty
Superman."
over-
But he keeps on hitting him with all his little traps and
Well,
all that
I
the whole
know, but,
time.
like,
yeah, Batman's
again,
like, no, you're not
it's
going
like-
to talk to me.
Yeah,
And what's even the point of the traps? A, Batman knows what Superman's powers, roughly speaking, are, and B, Superman has all of the powers to begin with. He has no business walking into traps, and Batman
Okay,
shouldn't be setting them.
I will
Also,
defend
he can
that.
overpower him. Why not hold him down and talk to him?
Yeah, say, "Hey,
rather
you,
than
my,
throwing him randomly around
Bruce,
the room?
or my mom's
I
about
thought
to
he
be
was
killed.
doing
Let's-
that just to make him seem like, oh, he's going to try to hit me with one more of his little human objects, and then it turns out the thing blasts him, gives him some nose powder, and he goes down, and because he thought it's just going to be another piece of shit
But
humanoid.
Platoon has a great point that I always brought up when I first saw the movies. Like, you're Superman, bring him up to the fucking sky a little bit, bear hug him, and say, "Hey, my mom's about to die. Lex Luthor has this bigger plan. He wants us to do this. You got to believe me. I can prove it to you." Instead, he's just walking through machine gun fire and sonar and fucking.
He says,
then he chucks him
I
like a
was.
fucking.
He says I was, but he says I was wrong, and then it says Bruce. Like, if that didn't get you to stop and you're not paying attention, like, yo, I was wrong. You get to listen. There's no time. Bruce.
He should still try.
I know he should still try, but the thing is like he tried. It's like, Bruce, I know it's you.
This
dude.
is the point.
We don't have
where-
any time, and that's what I'm saying. At that point, he's
But
so
this
corrupted.
is the point
he
Vex
sees
and I
red.
brought up earlier, is that if they would have fleshed this out a little better earlier in the fucking movie, this would have made more sense. They didn't, though. They didn't talk to each other. They just like, and then they just start beating the shit out of each other. I don't know. Vex, go ahead. I'm sorry, your hands raised.
No, it's all good. So, okay, here's another just question storyline wise that didn't like watching this around the second time just really made me think this entire fight sequence was fucking stupid. But we know that kryptonite is a weakness or whatever because he tested out on Zod's body and he looks under the microscope and all this stuff. How do they know the full scope of what it will do to a live body already, and they make this into a gas and stuff?
This is where
they
Batman.
don't.
This is where Batman farts on Superman and really nails him on
Also,
that one.
I would like to say that the effects of kryptonite in this are very different than what they are in the comics. So using the
Fair.
I put it in here. So Lex Luthor says that it decays his cells. So if Superman is breathing this shit and it's
When he
decaying
die?
his cells, he's done. Like,
Yeah,
you breathe that in, you're done.
That's
There's
the,
also-
and that's what
There's
that's
also
what they
one
messed up in
part
trying to
where
explain it.
Batman pops smoke and Superman is fooled by this. The man has X-ray vision, but the smoke is fooling Superman.
Oh, can we
The
also
shit-
point out that he can do the whole slow-mo seeing things, but he manages to take like 3 of these grenades to the face and he doesn't dodge any of them, even though he also has
Right.
super speed?
Because
Well, he
that's the thing.
catches
He did.
one.
I think he didn't expect it to actually.
Yeah, the
be
first
killed
one
But
by
he's
was
lightning.
literally
catching it.
okay. One of those shots, it's literally going at him head on, and Superman is still just running towards Bruce, and he takes it anyways. Come
He
on,
does catch-
I know-
Well,
on,
what
dude.
he catches
Also-
a projectile. He should have just tossed
This is
it.
this
Catches
is
it for-
all
I'm si-
choreographed on the basis of what looks cool, not what makes sense.
Yeah,
No, do
I
you
know
remember
the
the Dark? You remember the
characters,
Dark
yeah.
Knight Returns? Remember the Dark Knight
Now,
Returns?
wasn't he
the
going
animated
on and
movie?
off from being weakened to regain?
That's
his
what I'm
strength and being
saying,
weak?
yes.
Yeah.
Also, so what
Yes.
is what is Batman's purpose doing this? Is he trying to kill Superman?
He's trying to demoralize him before he puts a spear through his chest. That's all I think.
So if he's trying to, so that's even more
I
torturous
would-
than what
That's the
Batman
point. That's the,
is
that's the
already.
point.
this.
That's the point.
Um,
Like, he's actually gone full despot at this point. Like, I'm gonna kill this guy. I'm gonna stab him like a motherfucker, but I'm gonna beat him
Stab
to
him? He's
death before I,
throwing him
while I
around.
talk my shit. Yeah, he's like, I'm talking my shit right now.
I also
Right.
like
You
that
can't
he
tell me
uses
nothing.
this
When
thing-
has
That's
Batman
to me
ever been
Batman.
portrayed as being inefficient in a fight?
Oh,
So his
God.
motive at this point in the film is that he wants to kill Superman. He has Superman at his mercy. He is not an inefficient fighter. He knows exactly what to do in any given situation. He's about to kill him here, but he just throws him around for about 3 hours before he finally gets around to saying it's Martha.
Dude, okay,
and then he says, "Oh my God, Martha!
Last
That's
words.
kind of like
Last
my mum's
words.
name. I've
Oh
now
my-
completely changed my mind."
Hold on. a
Last
second.
Oh my
words.
God,
What do you
he's
mean by
that?
literally
Last words.
me.
He's
Hold
about
on
to
a
get
second.
stabbed.
Save Martha.
Oh my God.
Bro, okay. I understand.
We're the
No,
same.
I'll let BA talk about this because I know there's defenders of this scene, and I get what they were trying to do. So let me just say,
Okay, he could talk
What
about
were
it,
they
but
trying
put
to
him
do?
on mute.
I would like to hear your guys' opinion.
no. Okay, what
before I explain
I
it.
know what they were trying to do, and it ties into the beginning with the whole Batman recreating the scene again. But it's like
More than that.
trying
I'll just explain it.
you give your explanation.
Yo, guys, let BA cook. Let him cook.
No,
All right.
go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
So, yes,
Let him
it's
get on the grill, bro. Cook.
it's twofold. Obviously, he's going to remember his parents' death.
Sure.
But the main thing is Batman does not know who Superman is. He doesn't know that he was raised on Earth. As far as he knows, he came
just
at
an
the
alien.
exact same time as Zod, and he has no humanity.
Right.
Right? This is him realizing, oh, fuck, this guy is human. He has a human mother. He is like me. I misjudged him. I would be doing to him what that criminal did to my mother. I cannot let this happen to him. This is when he realizes he's human and he actually brings humanity into it instead of seeing him as just an alien that just showed up. No, this is someone raised as a kid and was just like me with the exception of these abilities. So the combination of that and triggering the name and remembering that he lost his mom, he realizes, oh, fuck that.
I have some things to say, but Vex has her hand up in the camera.
Yeah,
So I'm
let the
thinking
woman
she's
speak.
probably more desperate than I am to get in on this one.
Okay, hold on. You're saying that this is supposed to prove his humanity, but Bruce Wayne literally watched footage of this dude trying to protect Lois Lane earlier in the film. How is
No,
this introducing humanity to him?
He doesn't realize that he was raised as a human, that he has human parents.
So you know
He's
who
not
else
just
were
an alien
raised?
with a girlfriend.
You know who else was raised by human parents and are human? The criminals that he brutally murders.
He doesn't brutally murder the criminals.
Yes, he did.
criminals
We
out
just
there.
went
He did not.
over a
Only just said
15-minute.
BA, bro. Yeah, you're gonna have to get off the grill on this one, bro.
Killed like,
Can't cook on this
killed
one.
like 20 people.
Your Honor, do not let him cook. Your Honor, do not.
Shooting
What's up with
driving
black
is
people
not
and cooking
brutally killing
barbecues?
them.
Oh,
But
yeah,
yeah, I
heard
guess
that.
he
Let
should-
him cook.
I guess he should just let,
That's
he should just get shot by a rocket launcher to protect some criminals from dying. Like, it's bringing realism into
okay.
it. There's going to be collateral damage that he can continue on with his
Dude,
mission.
Collateral
He
He's not gonna
literally
shoot
took
every
twin-mounted
rocket.
machine guns and fired them right into a human being. How
Yeah.
is that inadvertently killing somebody?
It's
Yeah, that part was a
He
little
is
much.
brutal.
I think maybe
kills
he meant
people.
like he had to, like.
You could have avoided the whole speed, like Platoon said. Just wait until your tracker gets to the location, then go sneaking like you did anyway, and
Right.
take the kryptonite. Instead,
Yeah,
they
there
made an
is-
action sequence.
There's a huge difference between dodging someone shooting a rocket at you and throwing someone into an exploding oil tanker. Those are not the same moral proposition.
Right.
Which
One
I'm
of those is
fine with
murder and
Batman
one of them
doing
is
that.
collateral.
He's not
I'm
a-
so fine with
Yeah,
him doing.
I'm okay with a Batman that kills. I'm okay
Sure.
with a
It's been
Batman
done
that is
before.
way more brutal than he is in the
I
comics.
want
don't care
Superman
about the
snapping
comic.
necks. I'm fine with it.
The
Yeah, we
problem
know.
is
Sick bastard.
the problem is when you introduce this idea that he for some reason cares that this guy's this random alien's name or mother's name is Martha
Mhm.
on Earth. Because I think this plot line would work if this version of Batman did not kill and Superman was the only person he was like, I have to kill this man. I have to do this.
The opposite makes sense because, again, at this point, they're showing that he's already went too far. He's been demoralized, dehumanized as a result of losing Jason Todd. He's, in a sense, lost his sense of humanity. And this is what brings it back because he realizes this guy has a mother, this guy has a family. Like, I can't do that to him. And he realizes he's wrong, that he's not a criminal versus he knows those people that he shot at were criminals and they were bad guys. At this point, he realizes Superman is not
I think it's just how they got to
I would
this
say
point.
Superman is a
the problem.
criminal, as he's depicted in Man of Steel and in this movie, with the amount of collateral damage that happens in both of these.
Superman's not just
They
a
did the
criminal;
thing
he's a
in the
war
Nolanverse.
criminal.
They've done it in like several comic adaptations.
I don't care if they did it in the comics. He's a war criminal in them too.
He's not a war criminal, man. That is the most dumbass take I've ever heard, to say he's a war criminal. So Punisher, you think Punisher is the worst thing ever, right? Because he
very, bro. I mean,
Punisher walks the line between
the
Punisher walks the line between anti-hero and villain.
So
on a razor's edge.
You bring up Punisher, and that's an interesting thing because I like the character of Punisher. I think you need a very polar opposite thing to normal superheroes. You need to show this person who's like, no, I'm going to cross the line and fucking kill everybody. You need that to for example, you need that to be the opposite of Daredevil. So like, yeah, he's a war criminal, but you need that in storytelling.
And I tell you what, like, I know, because I've heard you before, BA. I've heard you before saying, well, all you want to see is shitty, cheap Marvel stuff. But I will happily say, I think the Sokovia Accord stuff in Marvel does a much better job of addressing this moral point than this Snyder film does.
Wait, how?
What are the
how
costs
so?
of collateral damage? What are the costs of superheroes defeating evil at the cost of ending innocent lives? And are there moral costs? Are there real costs? Are there criminal costs to heroes who have maybe overstepped the bounds in the pursuit of natural justice? And I think the Marvel films does it a way better job.
Batman is a vigilante, not a superhero. Vigilantes tend to not follow the law 100% of the time, so it makes sense that Batman has killed in the past and he kills here because he's a vigilante. So you have to distinguish between Superman, who's a superhero, and a vigilante.
I would disagree in saying that Superman is a superhero. I would even say that he's a vigilante in how he's depicted here. But also, whatever you just said has no relevance to whether the Sokovia Accords are good.
Sokovia Accords don't make any sense to me. So, I mean, like that's the
hold on, Ego. How do those not make sense to you? Can you explain that?
The Sokovia Accords. That was after what? I'm guessing it's after what?
It's in Civil War.
Avengers 2. Avengers 2, right?
Yeah.
Right, but it's based off of the fallout from Ultron, correct?
Ultron, not only Ultron,
and the Scarlet Witch too, right?
Okay. Scarlet Witch. There's
right,
a lot
but
of
okay. So the team is called the what?
The Avengers.
Who put the team together?
Tony Stark, or no?
Nick Fury. Nick Fury. Then
Nick Fury works for Nick Fury works. Nick Fury works for who?
Shield.
Shield is controlled by what?
The government.
So the government's gonna be mad at me for a job they wanted me to do. You recruited me for this job. I do the job, and there's collateral damage. You know
that's the whole point of Civil War.
Collateral damage.
Yeah.
I want you to talk this over at the Sokovia Courts. Makes no fucking sense. I'd be like,
no, it makes complete sense.
Do a job.
That is the premise of Civil War.
The government to save your ass.
The whole premise of Civil War.
Sorry, but now all of a sudden, actually, we have an Ultron situation, and now you want to put in Accords.
The whole premise of Civil War is that the government ostensibly gives Nick Fury free reign in arraigning a group of heroes to fight evil. When the heroes fight evil and they create collateral damage, the government steps in and says, you know what? No, you need to be more closely controlled by higher ups. You cannot be allowed to act on your own. The whole point of Civil War is to explore this moral dilemma. That's the whole point of the film.
That's not a moral dilemma. If you make someone a king, don't be surprised. If you make someone a king, do not be surprised when they treat you like a pauper. That's the whole point. You made me an Avenger. Why? I don't have to care about you. You said I'm Earth's mightiest heroes. Yeah, why should I give a shit about that? Because you made me an Avenger.
The point of the film is that this is an organization which is empowered by a government right up until the point in which the government thinks that it's inconvenient. And then you have the contradiction and the moral dilemma, which is what is better? Is it collectivism as instantiated by the state, or is it individuals who pursue rightness potentially at the expense of innocent lives? Because sometimes pursuing right creates collateral damage. That is the moral debate. The moral debate is the point of that film. In this film, by contrast, you have Batman who looks at Superman and says, you're bad because you killed other people while protecting them. That's kind of it.
I was like, you can have the moral quandary on Batman v Superman. I'm just saying this Avengers doesn't make sense. You tried to fix a problem that you thought would happen, and then when the problem gets solved, you're like, "Oh my God, there's collateral damage. We need to rein in all the empty budget money."
Did you drink the AJ juice today?
I'm going to give you an example.
I'm not drinking the AJ juice. Y'all are drinking the radio juice right now.
That does not make sense.
It does absolutely make sense. All I'm saying is that if you bring me in on something and you give me free reign and you don't ask any questions, and the minute things go south and you want to try to rein the whole thing in, it's like, nah, I'm out, bro. I'm not doing this. Ain't no civil war to be had. No, you're telling me everyone was like pensive and oh my God.
Because if they don't sign it, they are told that they can't be superheroes anymore, and they will...
Who the fuck is gonna rein that shit in?
No,
really?
That
is not the point. That is not the point. It relies on everyone actually playing the game.
Did you watch the film?
Did you watch
I watched the film. I watched the film.
Hey,
that's the problem I have.
What are we talking about
That's
now?
the problem I have.
Well,
I'm just going off of this. Like Civil War does not make sense.
My God.
At all.
So to add to that, let's think about what's worse: Batman killing a couple really bad criminals, or all the people that died because the Marvel superheroes were too stupid to realize the government was bad.
I'm saying,
what is that in relation to?
Also,
what is that in
don't
relation to?
conflate it all.
Or they're not like.
What is that in relation to? What event are you talking about?
No, you guys are trying to paint the picture initially, right? That
I ain't painting a picture, bro. I'm just looking at it.
Is bad. But Marvel does it better, even though
I'm saying Marvel makes no sense. Like everyone looks so distraught, and how could this? And the people.
Okay, hold on. If this is how you think, then what do you think about the people that serve in the U.S. military? Then they do it for a good cause. The government gives them the right to do that and everything. Then they come home and the government fucks them over, and they're supposed to be surprised by that.
By what? The fact that they got fucked over?
Yeah.
I work with vets. Like they complain about the shit all the time, but they're like, "Yo, if I had to do it again, I'm still doing it."
Well, that's what she's saying is what the Avengers should understand. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
You're literally understanding one point because it's a real world one, but the same point is being made.
That's what I'm saying. If you're a god, why does this matter? If I'm a god, why does this matter to me? I'm a god.
Anyway,
if I'm a god, if I'm Thor, if I'm Scarlet Witch, I'm like, what?
Or is not in that movie.
What?
Scarlet Witch is she's depicted in that movie.
I'm saying,
Panther, come on.
If you're a god, embrace godhood.
It's because, and this links back into the reason chat says, well, why aren't we talking about Batman v Superman more? The reason it's relevant is because what we're talking about is basic moral decision making by characters in works of fiction. They are in the same moral dilemma. We're arguing about which of them better accounts for the moral dilemma because they are matching each other in this particular moment. Now, my argument is that the Marvel films actually better demonstrate the moral dilemma Batman and Superman find themselves in here because they actually interrogate it. They treat it as the premise for a film. The whole storyline is about the moral dilemma between statism and individual good, which creates potentially chaotic results. This film, by contrast, because the whole point of this is contrast, this film says Batman doesn't like Superman because of collateral damage. Superman doesn't like Batman because of kind of the same. They don't like each other. They don't ever chat about it, so they fight.
Just fight
the end.
Fight it out. Yeah.
That's it. It's such a deracinated tale. The point of comparison is to show how you can have the same basic moral question raised in fiction dealt with better in one instance than the other. So they're not completely separate entities.
There is no moral.
I understand your point. And Joshua Perry, dude, I did see the movie. I just thought it was I didn't really give a fuck. Like all I was saying is the minute you start getting emotional about this stuff that you did to BS to the government, and they're like, well, hey, rein that shit in. I'm like, nah, I'm out, bro.
What do we
That's all. That's all I'm saying. Like, I understand your point. But
what do we think of the because the only part of this movie that most people liked was the Batman scene when he goes in and tries to save Martha, the fight scene.
I enjoyed it. I didn't look at the actual choreography of it that much because at that point I was just so bogged down by just
heavy. Yeah,
bro, I don't care. Yeah, it was overall good. The sound effects were kind of rough as they have been in the rest of the movies.
Excuse me, are we talking about the fight scene in the warehouse?
Yes.
Yeah, I want your opinion on that because I know you.
So you mean the one at the end where he ends it by firing a M60 into I think a gas canister that it blows up a man.
Oh yes,
right
I was going to bring it up. It goes good, and then that happens,
and then Batman outruns a bullet. Yeah,
it's like people don't even know the characters that they're fucking filming.
Well, it's the Snyder Cut meme, isn't it? That every single character is faster than the Flash.
Also,
and this film proves that Batman is also faster than the Flash because he can outrun bullets and fire to shoot a gun at a flame canister, outrun the bullet, save someone from the path of the flame before the bullet hits the canister, and then everyone's fine. But I think the scene we're currently on is better in the sense that it's worse because this is the point at which Superman is standing there letting Lex Luthor essentially say, look, if I press this big evil button, then you're going to die. And he just stands there while Lex Luthor says it over and over and over and over and over again. And then lo and behold, we get the Abomination. So that's really good writing.
There was a nice little countdown in the background too going on. It's like,
well, and I love how he's like, I created this to kill you, and then Doomsday almost kills Lex Luthor, and Superman saves him.
And then, the way that KG Beast was holding Martha would actually semi-shield her from the blast because he's standing directly in front of her, and I believe that there was a delayed explosion because he pierces the canister first and then it explodes. So there is a second or two gap before it explodes, which is why he dives and grabs.
He still defies physics, but at least it's not quite as offensive as it could
everything
be.
in superhero movies defies physics.
Yeah, not in the case of Batman, it doesn't.
Star Wars kind of for a reason.
But the point of Batman is he's a human.
That's 100% to science because it'll be really exciting.
Yes, I think it would because it would be consistent and it would be like
be a superhero movie then because then no one would.
So superhero movies are supposed to be these surface level.
The whole point of Batman is that he's a super rich man. That's it.
Yes, Batman is not a superhuman.
He's not
he is a man in a big suit. Batman cannot break the laws of physics. The thing that makes him interesting is the vulnerability that comes from his lack of superhuman power.
I think he was juicing a little bit.
His suit can be flame retardant and bulletproof,
but it can't break the speed of sound.
We'll just go right over that.
Then adding Doomsday into this convoluted shit mess, like, oh my god, man! You take one of his biggest villains ever.
So
again, what should have been in another movie.
So one of the rules of filmmaking is that you do not introduce a gun in Act 1 and never use it in Act 2 or 3. The same applies reverse. You do not introduce the gun in Act 3 and never have any kind of semblance of how it's coming about, except for Lex Luthor, towards the end of Act 2 is building him?
Yeah.
Just very, like, I know you're skipping past this, but you really shouldn't skip past the point at which they decide the best solution to this problem is fuck it, let's just nuke them.
They fire I said that to my wife. I'm like, he's taking him out of space. He's taking him into space. Let him take him into space then.
In the first place, they say there will be no casualties. You're firing a nuke into near-Earth atmosphere. The EMP will kill people. That's a huge blast.
And it will completely destroy your power.
And they make it a point to say, well, it's far enough away.
It's massively destructive, and that's it. In the second place, when has it ever been shown that Superman is uniquely vulnerable to nukes? Because if that were true, why haven't they nuked people before?
They never did. Right. Yeah, they never did explain that.
Real quick, you guys have to realize that, obviously he wants Superman or Batman to die when they fight. But the whole thing is to divert them away from the ship so that he can create the Abomination. That's like his ultimate backup plan in case they don't kill each other so that Doomsday can finish it.
That's not an answer to anything.
Superman, hold on, let me finish. Hold on. Superman is so distracted by needing to save his mother, he's not paying attention or listening for the mothership, right? Because his humanity has taken over, fight or flight. Batman is so consumed with rage that he also is not even giving a shit what's going on in Gotham or Metropolis at this point. So the whole point of it is to get them into this fight so that he can basically sneak into the mothership and bring the Abomination to life and hopefully kill both of them. And then all the heroes are off the table.
That's fine, but we're talking about the thing after all of that happened.
No, I'm going back because you guys were talking about, him basically pinning them together and not understanding, well, why didn't he just go to the ship initially and all that? That's the whole point of having them fight is it's the ultimate diversion so that he can accomplish getting the abomination of Doomsday.
That may be the point, but the way they get to that point is completely convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
How he sets up the diversion and the fight perfectly, and then he goes into the ship without being noticed.
So
and he already has access because he's already tricked the government to giving him access.
He's given unsupervised access to the ship, which is a whole different problem.
No, he got that from. Remember the guy?
Yeah, I know he got it, but the way he got it was stupid.
Is this the fingerprint thing?
It's bribing government officials. Elites do it all the time. Again, that's the realism.
Yeah, they do it, but they're smarter than Lex.
The government is smarter than Lex. That doesn't make.
I would
sense.
say that people who can blackmail properly are smarter than Lex.
No,
I would say a class of fourth graders is smarter than Lex.
I'm pretty sure a teenager could blackmail better than Lex could.
What do you mean? He did everything perfectly.
He did everything perfectly.
The only thing he did not expect was for Batman to realize Superman's humanity and stop. But it didn't matter even if that happened because he thought the abomination would be able to kill them both.
So why did he do the first thing?
What do you mean? Why did he do the first thing?
Well, he's created a contingency plan which makes the primary plan redundant. He wants both of these people to die. It absolutely does.
It's easier if either Superman, especially Superman, dies at the hands of Batman and vice versa, then the abomination only has to kill one vigilante or hero. It's, again, process of elimination.
Are you making this up as you go sometimes, BA?
No, it makes perfect sense. I've watched the film a million times. Like, I actually have looked deeper into the storyline. I know you guys watch it once.
Yeah, deeper. Oh, don't even get me started. How many times I've watched this movie.
The rest of the film, but if you actually pay attention, it makes sense what he did, and it did play out perfectly.
You're talking to a guy who does 3-hour plot breakdowns about not paying attention to films.
Yeah, I was about to say
completely. No, it doesn't make any sense. The whole point of this contingency plan is that it is a contingency plan in case both of the original plan fails. The whole point of the Abomination ripoff character, whatever the fuck his name is that he can fight fucking 3 characters at the same time. Lex Luthor explicitly says when he picks up the phone and Batman says your plan failed, he says, well, fuck you guys, because I've got the ultimate one. He can kill all of you. Listen to what the characters are saying in a film rather than just creating this weird headcanon in which everything makes sense, because the film that you are describing does not exist on the screen.
Yeah, you're wrong. I mean, you're flat out wrong.
Wow.
I mean, I will die in this hill. It makes sense to try to eliminate one of them first.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Get off the grill, bro. Get off the grill. Get off the grill. Get off the grill. Get off the grill. Get off the grill, man.
Like, not making any sense on this point. If he will have them fight, he cannot go into the mothership and get the ultimate contingency plan. Because then Superman would be paying attention.
Can I ask you a question, man? I'm gonna try to join you in trying to cook with you just a little bit. Just let me put what I got. I'm just gonna put what I got on the grill. All right, bro.
I just gonna flip this steak over.
Ego. Bro, we're gonna do. I just want to meet. We're gonna try to cook this. We're just gonna kind of cook this together, bro.
Ego, please don't listen. I respect you, man. Don't cook.
No, I'm trying. I want to know what he's cooking with. I'm checking the chart. I'm checking the charcoal.
Yeah.
I'm checking the charcoal.
Okay.
The barbecue sauce.
Go
ahead, say it.
All I'm asking is, what are the real criticisms that you have with some of the plot points of this movie?
It was rushed, but again,
have I
know. No. Not it was rushed. I'm saying like, hey, I specifically have a problem with either Lex Luthor's plan or the inclusion of Wonder Woman way too late in the movie. The fact that certain power sets are missing. The fact that certain plot points aren't fleshed out. Like specifically, what is your real? If you have a real beef, we just need to hear your real beef because it's been like 3 hours, bro. I'm just trying to figure out I see you on the grill. I just need to know if you're cooking with beef or like tofu or some shit. So just let me know, man. Like what's the real beef that you would have with this movie, if any? Now besides rushed.
I mean, I honestly, personally, do not have any beef, but I can understand why normies would have beef.
God,
normies?
Yeah.
I'm a normie.
I mean,
I
this is the argument. This is the argument
have
that
no
Copa
issues
said,
with the film. And that's the same with most Snyder films. I mean, you know, and a lot of the fans, they don't have an issue with how his films are made. He knows his niche audience and he makes the film specifically for them. He's very open about that. So of course, if I love the film, I don't have an issue with it. And yes, I think some of the things were rushed. I think that some of the characters were introduced too soon and introduced in not the best way. But again, I'm not going to blame him for it because again, the studio has control over a lot of this stuff.
Okay,
you know what, bro?
I don't blame the director for how all the stuff in Marvel's played out. That's the direction of Marvel to have a certain tone in a certain direction. So, that is not the director's choice.
I want to ride with you so hard. Just I love Batman v Superman like the next guy, but I'm willing to call out some of the criticisms. All I'm saying is right now, bro, MC Hammer is dying. Now I understand why he was on death row and singing punks in a punk. Okay, bro. Like I'm trying to work with you on this, but I'm just like you gotta admit.
I understand why some people don't enjoy the movie, and that's completely okay.
I mean, enjoyment, it's not enjoyment. It's like, well, hey, here are certain issues that are legitimate. Like outside of that, I can still understand why, hey, I like this, I like that, I like that. I didn't like this, I didn't like that. That's all I'm saying. Is like you're saying it's an enjoyable movie. Like I get it. You can enjoy watching paint dry if that's your thing. But if you can tell me like specifically what about it you like or even dislike, I can work with something. That's all.
I like lots of shit movies. I like the Star Wars prequel. Shit movies are great fun, but I also acknowledge they're shit films,
right?
Because they're not well written. Plot holes are not a matter of normies versus people who see.
But is it that hard to understand that there are some people that don't have complaints about certain movies? But no. Them.
I understand.
And that's fine that you guys don't get it.
No,
like I said,
don't get it.
Okay, can I have like a minute or two interrupt?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's
raise my
radio
voice
silence.
To get in a word
Can you do it without using the words
you guys
don't
just want
get
to counter everything I say? But where I'm getting at is I understand why some people don't like the films, and I can respect that. They don't like the darker tone. They want the traditional Superman like feel and whatnot. I get that. That's fine. In a perfect world, you would have two different adaptations, and that they could have done that with Elseworlds. They have the multiverse. They could have gave everyone what they wanted. If you go super light and fluffy, you're basically going to push out the Snyder fans. And if you go the other way, you push out other fans. That's the reality of it, right? So I understand people's complaints. My issue is that people are nitpicking just because they didn't get what they wanted. I don't
care what I want.
Hold on. I enjoy Marvel films for the most part before they got too woke. I still paid money and watched them. They were entertaining, but I didn't feel anything. They just weren't like, there was no wow factor. But I have to be honest, these films, some of the Nolan films, like they actually are a perfect fit for me. They're extremely relatable. And there are just some films that connect with some people and others can't understand it. And that are these films.
Okay.
And
yes, I agree with you.
My personal opinion.
I agree with you. And so I'll bring up a recent movie that I love. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I
didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming. I never saw that coming.
I know, right? Don't pay attention to my Twitter at all.
No, never. Never.
I love that film. I really do. I love how Lord and Miller direct, right? I love everything about them. Are there criticisms about that movie and objective criticisms that I acknowledge? Yeah. So the problem here is that you are taking these objective criticisms towards this movie and just shrugging them off like they are nitpicks and saying that either we don't get it or completely making up a headcanon.
Instead of just admitting that they're problems.
If you spend enough time on YouTube
and you do because you wanted things spoon-fed.
No,
I know, bro. So this, bro, and this what I'm saying. Like, I am trying to ride with you so hard.
It's a bad movie. It's just not the movie for you.
Okay, well then let's say this. Let's say you were in a relationship with Zack Snyder's Snyderverse, right? And people are saying, hey man, Zach be doing some things like that don't really make sense. Things are out of order. He don't really explain himself. He just goes off and does his own thing. And you're like, you know what? He's just operating on a level that's too advanced for the rest of us. We need to follow his plan and just, I love it and I support him and this is what's gonna happen. But if people that are close to you be like, yo, bro, Zach is doing some weird shit, you ain't gonna pull up and be like, yo, I got a question. Now that they're saying, hey, look, they brought to my attention, and now that I'm thinking about it, there are some things I want y'all to actually explain and be like, hey, can you just help me understand so I can have your back? I want to stand by Zack Snyder, my man. However, I need some reassurance that the shit you're doing ain't something you're doing just because you feel that you can, and I'm going to excuse it.
But if I can relate to it and I can understand it, and it's
you an abuse victim, then
do not use the word understand.
Because the thing
that's what I'm saying.
Vex,
you sound like you need to blink twice because you're in trouble right now, bro.
No,
hold on. Let Vex. I'm sorry, B. Just let Vex was raising her hand. What do you got, Vex? Sorry, you were saying
I'm just
something.
Flabbergasted at this point. In all honesty,
well, I just
BA. Okay, hold on. I just want to point something out that I've noticed. You do this time and time again. You did it with Man of Steel, and you're doing it now. It's okay to have a personal connection to a movie and enjoy it because you enjoy it. Nobody is disagreeing with that at all. We all enjoy.
Platoon just said he liked the prequels of Star Wars.
Exactly.
And then people,
but the issue that we're having is that you can't back up any of the arguments or points we're trying to make when we point it out to you. Instead, you dial back to, oh, well, it just relates with me. It sits well with me.
I don't see them as flaws, though. I don't see them as holes because
And what's the point of
I genuinely do not think you I don't think you've actually listened to a single word that anyone here has actually said. We've been going for more than 3 hours. It's past 5 a.m. here, so I'm bored of being polite about this.
Dude.
I don't think you've actually understood or comprehended a single thing that has been said over the last 3 hours. If you actually had spent any time listening to something anyone had said, objective plot holes in the movie, you could not turn around at the end of the stream and tell us, well, you just don't like that it's a darker film. No one fucking said that. What the hell are you talking about?
All we're trying to say, man, is hey, we love you, we here for you, but this is kind of an intervention, all right? Like, how else can we get Snyder to grow if we're not going to at least be willing to say, hey, look, these are things that
not going to let you suck his cock as hard as you want to do it. He's not going to let you do it. We've been going for 3
hours. Gotta go there. Yeah, that was unnecessary.
We have pulled this plot apart time and time and time again. These are not just vague vibes things. We're not talking about do we like the darker Batman or not. We're talking about basic character writing. Do these actions make sense based on character motive? The answer is no. And your answer to all of that is, well, you just don't understand it, / oh, well, it's too dark for you, / oh, well, it vibes with me, so it's fine. What is the point in talking to someone? I understand that it's fine for you. I don't give a shit. It's fine that it's fine for you. I like shit films too. I like shit films, but I acknowledge that they are shit. I think there are qualities in this film. I've spent loads of time in this stream trying to say these are the bits of this film that I quite like. There are bits of this film that I like. What the hell are you talking about when you say, well, the only possible disagreement is that you don't understand it? That's very condescending coming from someone who apparently doesn't understand how basic writing
people
works.
People like you admit that you haven't read the comics and you don't know
that's not fair, man. That's not an
argument. That's not an argument for a film.
That's not good faith argument, man. It's not good faith argument.
It's just not a good to fall back on the source material.
It's not a good faith argument, though, man.
Most of the arguments in here have not been good faith from the start, and no one has said a damn thing. It's been purposely poking at shit.
You can't flex your headcanon dick in everyone's face if it's like, well, we're talking about the movie. Well, if you read the comic, see my dick swing on this one. It's like, it doesn't work, bro. Like we're trying to talk about
BA, you're in this circular argument where if we point out a fundamental flaw in storytelling, you go, well, it's in the comics. And if we say, hey, it's shit in the comics, you go, well, you just don't understand it. And it's this giant circle that we keep swirling around, and it's in the toilet, dude. Like we're just swirling around the ball at this point.
That's fine that you guys think it, but you know what? I fucking respect the shit out of him because he does not bend the knee to people. He makes what he wants.
Yes, he does. He bends the knee.
Apparently
he bends the knee to the studio.
Right. And that's a based creator, and I'm the same fucking way.
Hold on.
That's what you're saying. You actually, so that's what I'm saying. Hold on. You took what you just said, what you attributed to Zack Snyder, you attributed to yourself. Like that's not what we're talking about. You're making this way too personal, dude. Like that's
wait.
Full stop, man.
Hey, BA, just listen to me for a minute. From creator to creator, you're a storyteller, right? There's certain fundamental structures in storytelling that make a story worth telling. Am I wrong?
That's subjective.
No. There's objective.
Being said a different way.
No. There's objective. There's objective formats in storytelling.
And has millions of fans, so clearly some people are okay with how he writes.
You write what? You write comics, right? You write comics. I'm assuming that's what you
novels.
Do. You write novels, whatever the fuck. If for some random reason in what you're writing, Harry Potter turns up on a unicorn and blows up the Death Star, is that a problem for the story you're telling?
Super hyperbole.
It's not hyperbole. I'm trying to get to the point of there being objective flaws in writing. I don't think you understand what the basic definition of hyperbole is in that case, much like you don't seem to understand what the basic writing structures of films are. Like, are plot holes objective or are they not?
I think for some reason
why are you here?
Ignoring you are definitely ignoring the massive problems that these films have in the Snyderverse for whatever reason there is.
It's not
every director and every writer has a different way of doing things. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It depends on what the people that watch that director's movies think.
So let me rephrase the argument. If Zack Snyder closed a film with Harry Potter blowing up the Death Star, would that be a problem?
That's not even comparable. Like that.
It absolutely
is. We just skipped over the fight. We just skipped over the fight, but oh boy, I could make a 3-hour video just dissecting that.
What if the Green Arrow just showed up and just started shooting arrows at everybody in the third act? Is that okay?
That is not relatable because Batman is just not killing.
That is relatable.
Nobody's killing randoms in here that are vigilantes or heroes.
Can I just point out something, please? This is not even now a Snyder thing. This is just pointing out you backpedaled on your own argument. Okay, you said that Zack Snyder is based and he doesn't bend the knee to anyone. But at the beginning of this stream, several times you stated that he did not get his vision and he let the studio do whatever they want.
No, he is under contract with the studio. They decide what gets released. It's not about what he wants.
So he does bend the knee.
That's him bending the knee then.
He has he does not actually. No, it's not bending the knee. But he doesn't give them permission to cut.
Here's the thing, though. As a director, when you sign on for a deal, you have specific things that you outline in your contract.
No, he does not.
So if what he wants, hold on, let me finish.
No, this is bullshit.
Let me finish. Can I finish, please? Hold on. Just wait for a second, okay?
Mute you. This is bullshit.
Bro, just don't rate.
The feeling's mutual, my dude, but let the girl speak.
But if he is here,
whoa, bro, come on, dude. I'm the last outlet you got on this fucking stream. Chill the fuck out, man.
Let us finish. You don't even know what she's going to say.
You were on the grill. Let her. Now she's on the grill. Let her cook. Just let her cook, bro. Let her cook.
I'm just asking an objective question. Okay, that's all I'm saying. This is not to poke fun at the Snyderverse or anything. But I'm saying, as a director, there are specific stipulations that you can outline in a contract. So is he not technically bending the knee if he is foregoing those things and have his Snyderverse universe, his vision, to let the studio do whatever they want? Isn't that technically him bending the knee? So
not bending the knee would be him walking away.
We don't know what he asked for or put in the contracts. They could have broken the contracts for all we know.
So we know there's something specific, though, because there's an entire campaign of him pushing out for the Snyderverse, bring back the Snyderverse, release the Snyder Cut.
What
does that not? So does that not hint to you that there were definitely stipulations that were not met or that were changed later on that he probably bent the knee to?
So if there's an alternate cut, the contracts, then that's on the studio. We don't know what the contract said or any of that. But the thing is, I don't think a director can say, hey, you are absolutely not allowed to cut anything from my film. That has never happened, ever. And directors constantly get blindsided by that. And, you know, the movie...
Constantly, I would disagree with.
Could say, oh, yeah, we're going to let you do whatever you want. And they could word it in a way in a contract, and then they could pull the rug out from underneath them. Like I said, it happened with Ayer. It's happened with several directors. There's a reason why Nolan stopped doing superhero films and has stayed away from WB for the most part.
Unlike Zack Snyder.
What's that?
Unlike Zack Snyder, who has carried on doing them.
No,
even though apparently
he's not doing Warner Brothers now. He's doing Netflix.
We've been having this argument apparently since Man of Steel came out, and that's what, a decade or more?
He had no issues with Man of Steel. It went the way he wanted.
But that was
it
a
to
shit.
go.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem then.
Man of
Either
Steel,
way,
referencing that makes no sense.
This is the thing. This the fans on his side. This is an argument that's just going to keep going on in circles, and it's again people like I have to agree with Platoon a little bit though. It's like yes, you can like shit movies and but still admit
that's subjective to call it shit, you guys.
It is okay. So may I explain? May I explain why you are wrong?
He didn't say Batman versus Superman is shit. He's saying you could like shit films as a genre.
Yeah, but I can tell you guys are referencing these films.
Can I explain why saying that a movie being bad is objective?
It's subjective.
Okay, let me explain. So let me explain and why that line of thinking makes the whole thing we're doing right now completely useless. So saying that art is subjective just means that all of us in this room are just going to watch a movie and say, "Oh, that happened. I think it's cool," and then someone else is going to say, "Oh, that happened. I don't think it was cool." And
art
that's all
is
we're going to
100% subjective.
Not film. I'm sorry, I disagree with you.
And so you're going to say that everything that's taught in art school and film school is the Bible, right?
No.
I go to film school, and I would say that it's pretty good.
What is the proper art if it's not subjective?
Okay, so I go to film school, so I
that's
would
why
say
you're like this, because you go to film school.
Yeah. Oh,
wait, bro, hold on. They're just qualifying their expertise. Let them qualify their expertise.
My expertise. I was set as the cinematographer for a very stylized film. It was breaking boundaries that no other film in that college has ever done. And the movie that I worked on got an Emmy for best cinematography. So I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about when it comes to.
Why haven't you made such a big film as Snyder?
You gotta have the. I mean,
why haven't you made a multi-million-dollar film? Why haven't you been given $100 million budget? That's evidently an argument.
Come on, make it happen.
That's not how this works.
Get the
buddy.
big movie deal. If
also,
you are
I'm not touching Hollywood, bro.
You're acting like you are right now. Because you went to
making a Hollywood movie.
You did this and you did that.
I am going to.
This is a very elitist take. That's like saying
I am not elitist. I'm going to a community college, bro.
Elitist.
I'm elitist because I'm going to a community college. Bro, you know how much money that my classes were pretty cheap.
There? Are your feelings hurt that someone actually loves you?
Yes, I do have tissues here. These are for biology.
Yeah, I'm sure we own your
and also other businesses.
Hold on.
And also, I like these personal attacks. Are you throwing me?
Oh man!
Pretty funny.
Save Martha!
It's okay for you to dish out personal attacks, but it's not okay to receive them. I see.
Actually, haven't been.
You're the one who was telling. You are the one who was telling us that the only reason we don't like it is that we don't understand it. We don't get on with a darker that.
Let me go back and let me go back and explain to you why your opinion means nothing.
That's such an elitist.
And I'm going to keep talking.
There.
Yeah, because I go to a community college.
Nothing. Right, except for people like me are the reason why the Snyder Cut got released. Because there's millions of
Should we play porno password now?
So let me explain to you why it is dangerous to just say that all art is subjective.
Subjective. Have you went to an art gallery and seen that complete pile of
For
shit?
example, may I explain?
Can we get back? Let's get back to one at a time. I want to hear why Andrew thinks all art is objective, and we can maybe
one at a
counter the
time.
subjective.
Yeah, all right. Well, yes, please,
So
Andrew, go ahead.
There,
Make your
there are, I do agree. There are emotional connections that you can have with a film that really speak to you. For example, Across the Spider-Verse, I really liked because I really liked its story and character work. Now,
Shocker.
do I know that there? Yeah, it's shocker. Look at it. So if you were now, if someone were to come up to me and say, "I think the movie's bad," I'm not just going to write that off as, "Oh, that's probably subjective." I'm going to say, "Why do you think it's bad?" Like Platoon. I know Platoon wasn't impressed with the second film. One of the things I was actually kind of sad about is that we didn't talk about it on Bishop, but that's fine. I would actually like to have a conversation with Platoon and understand that opinion and why.
Yeah, Platoon.
And why he does not like the film, and he will probably show me a new perspective on the film and criticisms that I haven't thought about,
and vice versa.
And vice versa.
And you wrote off everything I ever said to give a different perspective and try to explain things. Because you came into this in bad faith. I remember you in the chat in Man of Steel, and you were a complete dickhead.
I was because you know what I did in film school. You know what I did in film school.
Exactly the game you're playing.
Oh yeah, you know everything about me, don't you? You just you could rip off.
Would you guys just kiss? Would you guys just kiss already?
All right, hold on.
One at a time.
Please just kiss, guys. Please just kiss.
Yeah, so the reason I was tearing apart Man of Steel is because I spent an entire class in community college breaking down that film with my fellow classmates.
In community college? And you really use community college as an argument?
No, I'm being elitist now.
Hold on.
Who's being the elitist now, telling me that I'm worthless because I'm going to community college?
I didn't say that.
You pretty much said it with your tone.
Make your point. Go ahead, Andrew.
We broke down that film, and we realized that it's pretty rotten to the core. All of the themes don't make sense. The cinematography is terrible. The soundtrack's even pretty bad. And overall, the themes are not conveyed properly to the audience. Now, guess what we did the next day? We wrote a script that's better in one day.
That's subjective.
That's
your opinion. You cannot say for a fact it was better.
Yes, because we showed it to a bunch of people and they agreed.
A bunch of people. That's very
vague. And that would be the market. I mean, that would be the market.
That is the market.
That would be the market. The market decides usually what's
better than Christopher Nolan. No, I want to hear it. You can write a better story.
Wait.
He said a bunch of people.
You know what? I'm a cook. I think I could make a better superhero movie.
You can make a better script than Christopher Nolan.
If I might,
that's like saying I can write a better book than Stephen King.
Well, that was the argument I made earlier, and you had no response to the Twilight Shakespeare point. But if I can just sort of interject, it's Douglas Adams. I think Douglas Adams has this pretty much down to right, which is that all opinions are not equal. Some are a very great deal more robust, sophisticated, and well-supported in logic and argument than others. Now, we've been making arguments all the way through this now almost 3.5-hour stream for why parts of this script objectively do not work. We've been able to say, no, objectively do not work. Certain character decisions do not accord with other character decisions. Now, we've been able to make arguments for that. Your response thus far throughout the entire stream has been to recourse to, the Martian Manhunter said in a film that was never made, or, Zack Snyder just didn't get to write the character he wanted to have, or, it's just I vibe with this film, but you don't. One side of this argument, you did not give any specific examples. You countered with every single one was a vague, personalized, subjective thing. Just because you treat every argument as subjective does not mean objective truth does not exist. There are certain logical decisions. The reason I asked the question, which you defined as hyperbole, about Harry Potter blowing up the Death Star, is that it basically explodes the argument from subjectivity. If it is in fact hyperbolic to say that Harry Potter blows up the Death Star, based upon what standard is it hyperbolic?
It's not even relatable. It's just stupid.
By what standard?
At least give an example with.
I just gave you one.
I will say,
if all art is subjective, hold on. If all art is subjective, by what standard is that irrelevant and hyperbolic?
Are we?
Are you going to respond or are you just going to shut down?
Buffering at this point?
Might as well. I've lost interest in listening to you because
just humor him. That's all. That's all you've been doing for 3.5 hours. Is humoring each other.
Let's
hypothesize. Like I'm genuinely interested because I want people. I want more people to be more interested in the fundamentals of what art is, and I think subjectivity ultimately is the enemy of that. I want to engage you in what you think the point of art is. The point of writing is what makes a good film versus a bad film. The reason I'm asking this question is because I want to try and get a sense of what you think. And the reason I'm asking this question specifically is because you're telling me all art is subjective, but then you're using objective standards to refute my arguments while claiming subjectivity. So if it's hyperbolic to say the Death Star being destroyed by Harry Potter is ridiculous, what is the standard you're using? And you cannot say, well, I'm just not interested in that conversation because you've been interested in you've been interested in it right up until this point.
You combined two separate movies that have no relation for an absurd.
But that's his argument. So his argument is that
it's relation objective.
if it was subjective, you could do whatever you want because it's art and it's subjective. But if there's an objectivity to art and writing, then the Harry Potter shit shouldn't make sense to you whatsoever.
But everything in the Batman vs Superman movie, it does make sense. It's coming from the core characters. Now that some people might not be able to read between the lines.
This shit's circular. Shit's circular. You're never going to get an answer. You're never going to get the right answer.
Because I know I'm interested in this one. You're saying that everything in the movie makes sense because it's relating to core character. Is that not an appeal to objective character?
Some of it is objective when it comes to the actual source material.
So there are objective traits in that.
The style of writing and the style of directing that is different from the characters themselves.
Okay, so what is it that makes core character objective?
If you suddenly change Batman to where he's not even Batman, for example, suddenly he turns into Spider-Man, which is just and then the movie obviously.
Okay, so what about
the audience would decide, and it would make no money, and that would be it. This movie made a lot of money.
So that's interesting. That is very interesting to me. So you're saying that if you suddenly change Batman into Spider-Man, that would be a transgression of objective character. Now, if we're making a point based on writing of, say, Batman v Superman, that Batman has done one thing at the beginning of the film, and he's done another thing midway through, which completely contradicts what he did at the beginning, is that an objective flaw with the character?
Where did he contradict?
No, I'm trying to get you on
example.
General. Yeah, I'm trying to get you to say. Well, I'm trying to ask whether or not
you think it's possible. Gotcha. You're trying to sound like you're so intelligent.
Oh my goodness! Do you think if I were trying to get a gotcha, would I be pinning you down on questions of objectivity on art if I were trying to get a gotcha question?
Whether or not
we've already made some progress.
I'm just going to end it there. It's subjective.
We've already made progress. We began this by saying you began this by saying that all art is subjective, and I said, well, what about this? And you said, well, of course, that's objective. So we've already made some progress.
You're layering it down to the characters. You're going to layer it down to everything until you can get me to admit that some things are objective. I'm talking about the broader.
I'm trying to get you to follow your own half-thought thoughts through to their conclusion.
Every novelist has a different style, and every novelist gets criticized for different things. But they have their own audience. You can't expect one novelist to write a certain way to make everybody happy.
Is Stephanie Meyer a better author than Shakespeare?
That's subjective. It depends.
Is it really? So the difference between Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet or Twilight is purely subjective. Are you really sticking to that position?
The person who wrote 50 Shades is better than Shakespeare. It's not listen.
Hey, that's got a good plot, if you know what I mean.
You know what I'm saying? All right, let's do this. Since it's not going to go anywhere else, do we have trivia, Vex? Do you have any brief trivia you want to give? Or
I can just go over the casting trivia because that's kind of fun.
Oh, it is very.
Hold on.
Hold on, I gotta pull up the doc. My bad. Sorry. All right. Okay. So for the role of Bruce Wayne, several actors that were considered. Okay.
Go ahead.
First, Jeffrey D. Morgan, who ended up playing Thomas adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
You see it? No, not really. Maybe.
No, not really.
Okay. We also have. Oh, I gotta scroll down. Whoops. Jason Momoa was asked to audition for Batman by Zack Snyder.
Jason Momoa?
Yes.
Is that what you? No. Hell no. No.
Okay.
I can't stand him as Aquaman. Never mind fucking Batman.
All right. Army Hammer pre-cannibal scandal. I can maybe see that one.
Maybe. It'd be a good Bruce
he was
Wayne,
in the
probably.
running.
Yeah.
Be a good Bruce Wayne, especially.
Josh Brolin.
Ooh.
That makes sense.
For Batman.
Yeah, for Batman.
Actually,
Strong.
These are all for Batman so far. Yeah.
I actually think I would agree with that. I think he's
a good actor.
Especially this part of his face.
Yeah, he's got the
It's
jaw
very, very gritty, very, very tough.
I think he could pull it off.
And I think that pulls off the grittier version of Batman than Batfleck does in terms of the cowl look, like how we would look.
Right, how we would look with the mask on. Yep.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
down for that.
John Hamm.
No.
Eh.
I can't see it.
I can see him as Bruce Wayne, not as Batman.
Yeah, not as Batman.
Gerard
Not
Butler.
as Superman.
Gerard Butler. No.
Okay.
I don't see it.
I got three more. Okay. Richard Armitage.
I don't even know who that is.
Who be him?
Who is Rich? Am I
Is he
supposed
the
to
guy
know?
who played Thorin in The Hobbit?
I believe that is
Maybe.
actually him. Hold on, let me double check.
What was his name again?
Richard
Baba Jabba?
Armitage.
Or, subjectively, it could be Anthony Hopkins, but
no way at all. No, I see who he is now.
He was in The Hobbit.
Yeah, you're right.
Orlando Bloom.
Get the fuck out of here.
Hell
I
no.
want a man to play the role, not fucking.
Yo, actually,
get out of
you
here.
know what? I'm down.
No, Andrew, come on.
Man.
That's it.
No.
God damn you, Andrew.
I'm a wild card,
Casting
baby.
trivia. We're just doing casting trivia that we're done for.
Yeah,
today.
that's fine. That's fine. We'll be done. Go ahead. Is that it?
And Luke Evans.
Luke Evans.
No.
Nah.
I think Brolin
You really
was the
have to
best
have
option.
a strong
Brolin.
chin.
I think Brolin was the best option, to be honest.
Yeah.
And Army Hammer, I can maybe see. Is
Actually, Luke Evans might work. He has a pretty strong jaw.
I know, but there's no way you'd look at him and think they like, American?
I don't know if I can, I don't know if I can see him as Bruce. I like
Not
Brolin.
Bruce.
Sorry. Go
Okay.
ahead, Lex.
All right. So now for the role of Lex Luthor.
Oh,
okay,
no.
This one,
Oh,
this
God,
one
here
will
we
really
fucking
blow
do
your
it.
mind. Okay, I'm not gonna go over the Heisenberg. What's his name? Fuck. Bryan Cranston.
Brian Cranston. Yeah, it's obvious. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
all right.
Tom Hanks.
Get the fuck out of here. What is he to do?
Bro.
Wilson. No.
How you?
No.
I think that Superman is Clark Kent.
No.
No, there's no way I could do that.
No
No.
fucking way.
Okay, that was the only. That's the only other option for Lex Luthor.
That was it? That's what they chose?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Oh no,
that's-
sorry. I have more. Whoops.
Oh,
Okay.
God. It scared me.
Matt
Bryan
Damon.
Cranston.
Matt Damon. Nah.
Okay.
Nope.
For who is this?
Lex
This is
Luthor?
for Lex Luthor still.
Matt.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Matt
Bradley
Damon.
Cooper.
Huh.
No. I don't see it.
Too small.
Joaquin Phoenix.
No.
He plays a good
No.
villain, but not for that role. No.
No.
Adam Driver.
No.
Adam Driver?
You're just making the shit up at times. but-
Kylo Ren?
No, I'm dead ass.
No.
All right.
No.
And then I don't know who this guy is. He's a French actor, but Jean Desjardins.
Oh, I know him.
Oh, okay.
No,
Actually?
I'm down.
Definitely not.
Okay. For Alfred Pennyworth, there's only one I have. Timothy Dalton was considered.
Nope.
Huh.
I actually no, I can kind of see that one.
I like
I like Jeremy Irons. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like the shining light for this film for me.
Yeah, he was great.
And
Honestly, he
then-
could be Batman.
Oh.
Like the amount of
Young
stuff he does in
old
the
Batman?
lab.
Yeah.
Old, yeah. I'll do
Well,
even
even like
bats.
even the tech he knows like in that film. Like if Bruce Wayne got sick, Alfred's just like,
If-
"I don't worry."
If you ever did Batman Beyond and you told me Jeremy Irons was Old Man Bats, I could work with that.
Yeah.
Well, he has the suave nature, and also he has the snarkiness towards
Yeah,
Batman. That
definitely
works, I think. I think the Alfred Batman relationship does work kind of well in this movie and the next.
You guys are stupid.
I think it works better in Justice League.
Yeah. What were you saying, Vex? Sorry.
It's okay. You're good. You're good. Okay, last up. So for Barry Allen, The Flash, okay? Bradley Cooper.
What is fucking this obsession with Bradley Cooper?
He was a hot name. He was a hot name at that point. He was a hot name.
He
was a hot name at the time.
No, I don't see it. No.
Chris Pine.
No.
No. Fuck.
Okay.
No.
Matthew Fox.
No.
Which one was he?
Matthew Fox was one of the guys from Lost.
No.
Pass.
Yeah, done.
Okay. Ryan Quanten.
I don't even know who that is. Oh, I know Ryan Kwan. I know who he is. I know who he is.
Okay. Hot brother from True Blood. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
And then Scott Porter, who was in Friday Night Lights.
Oh, I know who.
That might work. That could work.
Maybe.
I would have done. Maybe.
Okay. That's all I have for casting trivia.
That's it. Okay.
That's right. I will say the one thing that I was looking at, I'm not sure what other evidence there was, is the fact that at the beginning scene of Batman v Superman, the person that was supposed to be in that tower when it went down was supposed to be Lucius Fox and not the financial guy.
Oh,
gotcha. They were trying to show that he actually lost what he really cared about, that meant a lot to him, that helped him with a part of him being Batman. And then he loses that. He's like, so this alien king fucked my shit up, and my number one homie that does all my tech died too. Okay, now I'm gonna kick your ass. Like that.
He got whitewashed.
Yeah, had they gone with that route, I was like, that would have given me more reason to say, okay, no, he's angry. Otherwise, you're just calling a guy named Jack. It's weird.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of just weird shit with this whole fucking Snyder thing. Anyway, yeah. Well, we got. I know. I sped through the ending of the movie with the fight and everything, but Jesus, if you've seen the movie,
we would have been here for another 3 hours.
You know what happens. He dies.
We would have.
There was a much more interesting fight going on.
Yeah, exactly.
I was about to say.
All right, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and just shout out where we're going to be and end the stream so Platoon can get some goddamn sleep. He's been up for like.
Are we rating this?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, ratings. Let's start with Copa. Copa, what do you rate Batman versus Superman?
1 out of 10. It's worthless. It's a pointless film. Shouldn't have been made.
Electronica.
Yeah.
I give it 2 shirtless Henry Cavills in a bathtub.
Wow.
All right, BA, give me your honest opinion. What do you rate this?
Yeah, it's a 9. Same as Man of Steel. Go ahead and toss your jokes.
No, it's fine.
No, just no jokes.
We've already discussed it, so now this is just the final rating. Yeah.
Platoon, you sir.
Yeah, the discussion was the joke. No. I would probably give it a 3.
Here's my point.
But I do want to make a genuine and sincere and full-hearted point, which is that like we can disagree on these things, and I respect people who can come on and who will hold their own. Genuinely, I'm not taking the piss at all. I genuinely
respectful then.
Well,
and I'm just gonna clear the air here. Like, I can be calm and respectful until people are disrespectful to me. And to go back real quick, I do agree some things are objective, especially in novels, right? The use of prose, grammar, story structure, all that. I get that. And it's much different in writing a novel than in a film, because in a novel, you can just write, you can explain everything. You have all the word count. No one, especially as an indie, can prevent you from doing what you want. And that's the beauty of it. But again, someone like Snyder, he does have to answer to a studio. He has to condense things. Yes, he may leave holes in some people's opinions because he's rushed and he only has so much time. He may want to tell a story over 4 movies, but he's being forced to do it in 2 movies. He's trying to make the best of it. And if some fans still connect with it and love it, that's great.
Yeah, people
I
like
understand that film school
nobody's
stuff
arguing
can.
it, you know. People could like what they want.
People kind of were.
Well,
but my point is, things are objective, but you have to realize there's intent, right? Directors and writers may have intended to be able to do it a certain way, but their hands were tied. They had shackles on them. It doesn't mean the film is not good, because that is subjective. And one thing that is not not subjective, in fact, is how much money a film makes. Man of Steel was very profitable. Batman vs Superman was very profitable, despite being critic attacked and the critics seeing the wrong version, right? Because who knows? Some of those critics may have gave better reviews. More fans may not have been confused. They may have referred more people to watch the movie. We don't know. So, look.
Well, all right.
Yeah, no. Well, look, just to. No. I understand. Just to finish off, like we could argue a number of those points, but we're coming to down the stream, so we won't. What I wanted to say was, and because it's the impression I got from the last one as well, which is that I genuinely do respect someone who will go on a stream and who will hold their own and who is willing to sit through all of this and in some cases be piled upon. I think that's a genuinely respectable thing. I like having these conversations. We will disagree on a huge number of things, but I'm not meaning this in any way disingenuously, but I think that you've done a good job and I've really enjoyed it. And so props to you for that. My score for this film is 3 and I wish you all the best because I think these are really fun conversations to have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. MC Ego.
I'm giving it 6.5 MC Egos, guys. 6.5. I was at 7.5 when I came in.
We convinced you to drop it a point. You sick bastard. I love you, Ego.
6.5.
All right, Andrew. It's not Spider-Verse, but give me a rating.
Let's see. I think I would agree with the 3. I actually think it's probably the best Snyder DC movie. And it's still at a 3, which is kind of concerning. Overall, I don't think it's the worst. And I actually do think it's the best of Snyder's DC run. And even in accounting for the other movies that released in his era, that this is the best one out of 3.
Right. Okay. That's fair. Mr. Whitebear, since you've said so much,
I know.
What is your rating for this lovely movie?
I have to give it a 5.5. Okay. I really was never super hateful towards. I'm not really too much as Copa knows because he knows so many damn directors and whatnot.
He's a special man.
He knows. I don't know all the directors and and everything in it. I just know how I saw the film at the time, and it was a lot of confusion to me. And as somebody who's like that kind of like barely avid fan or normie, whatever people want to label it as, read a few comics, have a few collections. That's it. So many parts were just missed by me in it, and I'd go back and watch it, and then go back and watch it, and then watch it for this review, and the different editions and stuff like that. And I'm just I'm obviously not the biggest fan of it. That's why it's down there with the 5 and all that. But that's what it is, and to kind of say like these old films, for a lot of people, no matter what, have a little bit of emotion attached to it, or a whole lot of emotion attached to it, and that's why we have these conversations. And conversations get heated and passionate. So heated and passionate. But anyway, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and enduring or enjoying.
Yeah, it was a long one, which we expected, and I do appreciate it. I'm going to give it a 4. 4 Marthas out of 10. It is what it is. Like I said, you could like it, you could hate it, but this is, like you said, why we have these discussions. And tonight was a good one. So I really do appreciate all our guests coming on. I know this was a long day for some of them, and it really means a lot. So it was awesome. Copa, shout out what you got going on, your book, all that shit. It's all in the description anyway.
You could pick up my book on Amazon. Why Not Wichita? You can find me on What's Good on Wednesday. We're going to have Movie Cynic over there.
Awesome.
Don't know what the topic's going to be, but it's going to be awesome anyways.
About movies, maybe? Or...
who knows? Maybe we'll find a movie he does like. And then...
The Batman. There you go.
Talk about the Batman. Yeah, the Batman is the one.
Is it? That's too bad because that's the one I hate. Maybe we'll have a hate fight over there.
Hey, I know. Listen, I've talked to him. I know he likes the Spider-Verse, so you could talk to him about that.
Does he like the Spider-Verse too?
Yeah, he does.
Oh boy.
Okay.
The Batman and the Spider-Verse. It's like I don't even know him now.
You didn't like the Spider-Verse movie?
The Spider-Verse movie? They're all
Andrew looks right up.
They're
God damn him!
All right, Andrew. Let's go. So objectively, the Spider-Verse sucks balls. No,
therefore I hate you. No,
no, I'm just kidding. So yeah, I'll be over there at Zach's channel. What's Good Wednesday? We're talking about something. Come hang out. It's always a good time.
It's a great time, yeah.
And my John Wick 4 review should be dropping here in the next day or two. So be on the lookout for that. So,
do you like that film?
It is a complicated mess. There's so it's good, but it's the same as all the other films, just longer.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, so they dial everything up to 11 in that film, but they don't do it in terms of stunts. They do it in terms of length, and it really makes you question your man card because you're sitting there going, this action scene is too long. And then you question your man card right then and there. You go, wait a minute. Did I just say this action scene's too long? So it's stuff like that. Yeah, it's a mess. It's good. It's just the worst out of the 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The lovely Vex Electronica. What do you got going on? Let me guess, check Twitter. And,
yeah, just find me on Twitter at Vex Electronica. There you go. I'll have a Flash review out next weekend because I'm going to go see it Friday morning.
Nice.
Us poor people going to watch that movie. BA, what do you got coming up? What do you got going on, buddy?
I'll have my Vigilantes Creed Indiegogo campaign going live next month. Hopefully, people in the chat won't write it off just because of my choice in films. I'm sure everyone thinks I'm a bad writer now, but yeah, that launches next month. 2 novels, a comic, bunch of art by some of the best indie artists in the industry. So yeah,
sweet. Yeah, well, that's in the description too, so we'll shout that out when it happens. And Platoon.
Sorry, when's the exact date it goes live?
Yeah, when is the date?
Right now, I don't have an exact date. It's probably going to be mid-July. I'm doing it a little differently than people. I'm getting all the art done before I launch, so that as soon as the campaign ends, I can ship. So there won't be like a long delay. So
gotcha.
Yeah, hopefully the art's done by the end of this month. Then I'm going to have a trailer done by Jimmy Reyes, and then I'll launch right away. So hopefully mid-July.
Just let us know and we'll shout it out.
Yep.
Okay, Platoon. What do you, I know you have like a 3-hour video coming out about something soon.
Inevitably. No, I know I'll generally be checking out that comic because like my final olive branch of the evening is that I think that BA Turner, you probably value the best things in media. And so I will really genuinely be checking that out. I think that could be really interesting. For my own channel, I'll be seeing The Flash on Wednesday, so I'll probably have hopefully a video out on Monday following. After that, it's going to be Mandalorian Part 2, and then it will be Indy 5, and then hopefully at some point I'll have time to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But yeah, lots of stuff going on, and then B-Sub is on every Monday night.
Yep, good stuff. Definitely check that out. Mr. Ego.
All right. So I've got my Guardians of the Galaxy review with my man Stuntman coming out this week, maybe by like Thursday at the very latest. Catch me and my guy Abomination AJ for the Heroes No Keeps podcast on Sunday morning at around 10:45 Central. Hopefully I'm going to see the Flash movie on Friday too. I just don't know if we're going to wind up talking about it Saturday and try to keep it spoiler free. But I'll definitely be doing a review on that as well. And then next Sunday, the wife Shiro and I will be doing another episode of Ordinary Gains. So a lot going on, but thank you guys for having me on the stream. I actually appreciate it. It was awesome.
I'm very happy for you, dude. Yeah, check out his channel. Andrew, Spider-Verse review 5 is coming out soon. What do we got going on?
So I actually pushed my review of Spider-Verse back a bit. I did the script for it. It was like 8,000 words. And then I realized I didn't say enough. So
okay.
And then you went for a 4th screening of it as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'll probably
words
just go again. But yeah, I do really in terms of enjoyment, I really enjoy this movie. And I'm still like I've still been tossing numbers around my head in terms of rating it still. So I'm pushing that back probably till
I'd give it a 6. 6 is fair.
Broke his heart.
But I'll that will probably be out relatively around the time it goes on digital. It's probably when that'll come out. But other than that, Flash, what I've seen so far, not looking too good from the trailers. So I'm also wondering how many of the cameos that I've been told are true. So I'm going to message Movie Cynic about that.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah,
not the bees,
not the I already know that's one's pretty much true. Great. All right, and then White Bear, you have any chicken videos coming out or lawnmower pushing videos?
I had a video out today on
homesteading
on review on some new yard devices, lawn care, if you want to call it that, and have a video coming out, gardening video coming out tomorrow at 1:00. So
awesome! Stay
tuned, bitches, and you can always come to my channel and check out my cock.
Wow.
He called everybody bitches.
Okay, that's when you know it's been too long of a stream.
Please come show me buddy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's
so
the southern charm that really
it's
shines.
Sea charm,
like fucking Cracker Barrel over here.
Let's see. Mrs. Cannoli Sasquatch and I have a show Friday on the Cannoli Connection. We're interviewing Jason Sandberg about his book Jupiter. Very excited about that. As Copa says, it's important to support indie creators because they are the future. Because Hollywood sucks.
Everyone should back his book. He's a super good dude.
Yeah, he is a good dude. He is.
Super unique book. And definitely people should support him.
Definitely, I agree, and I'm looking forward to talking to him. And then I will be seeing The Flash. I have to wait till Saturday morning, and then I will do a review. Oh God, I will do a review on my second channel, the Cannoli Catalog, where all my pre-recorded stuff's up at. And then, of course, Mrs. Cannoli Sasquatch has her own channel. I got to shout her out because she had a great live stream yesterday.
Yeah,
and she is killing it. So. Yeah, we're trying to build something very mediocre, but it's something, and it's ours. God damn it! So again, I want to thank everyone for coming in, and that's basically it. So we'll be back next week on the 19th, right, Vex, with No Way Home.
Yep.
And we will have Andrew back for that one, and another guest, Bagface.
I will. Oh yeah, I will. I agreed to that.
Christ, Andrew. It's Spider-Man. That's why I invited you on.
Yes.
And then Bagface will be on as the secondary guest on that one. So I'm really looking forward to having him on the channel for the first time. That's it. Everybody go to sleep. It's late. We love you. Thank you, chat. You are on fire. Mrs. Cannoli did a great job behind the scenes. And that's it. We will see you next time. Bye.